Chapter 0026. While playing, Shen Ye introduced to the people around him who were already excited like wild cats raising seedlings. The game I play is called Dynasty Warriors, and it is called the creator of the lawn mowing game. The core selling point of the game is to allow players to experience the thrill of the game. In the formation of 1,000 people, as if walking on the ground, take the head of the enemy general. Like Guan Yu, he is a skilled general, and his even moves are relatively ruthless. Guan Yu's big move is so handsome. There's a guy named Zhang Jiao coming over here. Zhang Jiao's unparalleled skill is so strong, how can he still summon thunder and lightning? Awakening! Awakening! Naruto, Inuyasha, and Konohamaru crowded their heads, watching Shen Ye play the game and getting familiar with them, and shouted excitedly. This game is really cool. No matter where you go, you are crazy to harvest people's heads, and all kinds of gorgeous special effects dance all over the screen. Seeing a few people like this, Shen Ye smiled. Is that high? Waiting for Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, Final Fantasy, what should you do? Inuyasha Pa and Inuyasha Flower looked dull. It's just such a small thing, can play such an interesting thing? Otherworld items are really incredible. Of course, the most powerful is the owner of this comic shop, otherwise they won't be able to see this. The current level of ninja technology is still very low. Even the camera is still a big wooden box, the kind of antique camera that a photographer needs to crawl into brie. The PSP 4000 handheld game console, a technology product that was popular in the previous life, is a completely super technical existence in the Hokage world. Shen Ye demonstrated the game console and gave it to Konohamaru, saying, "Play it yourself." There are more than 20 games in it, all of them are very classic games, enough for you to play for a long time and not get bored. Ha ha ha. From now on, I can play games every day. Konohamaru couldn't help but take the game console aside and play. Both Naruto and Inuyasha looked envious. No way, the lethality of game consoles to boys of this age is unparalleled. However, the two still suppressed their strong urge to play games and went back to their seats to read the comics. While several boys were following the game, Meng Huang had already read the Perfect Girl Warrior manga. Customer Fengji Meng Huang has finished reading Sailor Moon Part 1 and obtained Exorcism Charm. Exorcism Charm, a spell made by the witch Huo herself, it has a miraculous effect on exorcising evil spirits. Guangua fell on Meng Huang's hands. When the light dissipated, a few spells with mysterious runes were revealed. Boss, is this the spell of Sister Huo? Meng Huang recognized the origin of these spells at a glance. After all, only Huo used this spell to fight in the comics. Shen Ye nodded, yes, it was all drawn by Huo herself. Wow! Meng Huang was a little excited when she heard the words, like a star-chasing girl who saw idols for the first time, it turned out to be a spell drawn by Sister Huo herself? Then I will treasure it well, hee hee. After a while, Yuden also read the manga. Customer ISE Yuden has finished reading Cut. Crimson Eye, Get, the head of Sheila. Head of Sheila, Sheila, the son of the imperial minister, holds the emperor's dimensional square, Shangri-La. In terms of character, he is no less cruel than his father, and he is brutal and lecherous. He uses his father's power to and loot everywhere. He used to travel abroad and learn from each other's strengths to develop a powerful martial art. And during his travels, he collected famous criminals and experts from all over the world, collected taigus scattered outside the empire, and established a secret police force headed by himself Wild Hound, acting more unscrupulously in the imperial capital. He was eventually decapitated by Lubbock of Night Raid. Shen Ye looked at Yuden's reward in amazement. Is it okay to reward individual heads? I just don't know if Yuden's mental quality can handle it. A ray of light descended on Yuden's hands. What will it be? Shaking Queen Ace's demon appearance, the essence of demons? Or the heroine Chi Tong's one-shot kill, Murasame? Hey, you can do whatever you want. Yuden sucked back the snot that was about to flow with a sucking, and looked at the light with anticipation in his eyes. After all, both Konohamaru and Meng Huang got what they wanted, so there's no reason why they can't. In the gaze of a pair of eyes, the light gradually dissipated, revealing the head of a man with a tragic death. His expression was ferocious, full of blood, and his eyes were staring fiercely before he died. What? Yuden saw the head in his hand at first sight, and he was so frightened that he fainted on the spot. Meng Huang muttered, Yuden, you, ah. When Meng Huang saw that it was a human head, she was so frightened that her eyes rolled over and fainted. Konohamaru's two-strand battle was obviously unbearable. Even a Jainin like Inyazukazu, who often performs tasks, looks like his scalp will explode. Is there such a thing in the reward? This is too red chicken, right? Seeing that Konohamaru was about to faint, Shen Ye said, "Don't faint first, get the two of them out with the reward." "Yes, yes." Konohamaru could only bite the bullet and ordered Xiaobi to drag Yuden and Meng Huang out. Immediately, he looked at the shield ahead. Konohamaru said to Xiaobi, "Xiaobi, throw it away. The farther you throw it, the better." Wang. After hearing this, Xiaobi turned into a fighting form, grabbed Sheila's head and threw it in one direction, turning it into a small star. Konoha village border. "I said I'm not your master, get away from me." Asuma drank a cigarette and gritted his teeth angrily at the poop beast following him. The shit beast has been following him since yesterday. After all, he is also Konoha Jainin, so what's the matter with such a disgusting Digimon all day long after the fart? It's really degrading the image. But this feces beast sticks to the index max, no matter how you throw it, you can't get rid of it. Hearing this, the stool beast said sadly, "Master, don't be so heartless, I know, you must still like me. Who trademark likes shit?" Asuma threw the cigarette butt out of his mouth in anger, "If I really like you, I'd better drop something and kill me." Bang! Before he finished speaking, Asuma was severely hit on the back of the head by a mysterious object. Asuma was dizzy, looking at the thing that knocked him out. Not only was he slapped in the face at the speed of light, but he was actually a terrifying head. He couldn't help saying, "I trademark." Then, Asuma passed out. "Master! Master!" The shit beast looked at Asuma, who was knocked unconscious, and at first his face was panic, and then gradually turned into moved. "I just said, Master, you still like me. Could it be that all the cruelty you did before was because you wanted to surprise me? Master, I am so happy. I will always be your shit beast and will never leave you." Suddenly the stool beast said to himself, "Master, there won't be any problems, right? By the way, if human beings encounter such a situation, they generally need human breathing, right? There are no other human beings here, don't tell me, want me, okay, so embarrassed. You want me and the master, what are you afraid of? The master has proven with his life that he likes me, why should I care about these secular rules? True love should do nothing." Thinking about it, the fecal beast looked at Asuma and said affectionately, "Unexpectedly, my first tattoo will be dedicated to the master under this circumstance. This will be the most sacred moment." The shit beast pouted at Asuma. It took 2 minutes for the fecal beast to get up, looking at Asuma's already red and swollen mouth. "Master hasn't woken up yet, am I not doing enough artificial respiration? Do you want to come again?" The shit beast lay down again. After 5 minutes, the fecal beast got up and said reluctantly, "No, it's not enjoyable." "Then do it again, say it, this is the last." The poop beast lowered its head again, going back and forth without being idle at all. Chapter 0027. Thinking of the scene just now, Inyazuka Hwa shuddered and whispered to Inyazuka Pa, "Mom, the rewards of this comic shop are too scary, there are even dead heads. Some people are lucky and some people are unlucky, which means it's really random." Inyazukazuo still looked at the cartoon without raising his head, and said, "Speaking of which, this shit beast is disgusting. Anyone who draws this kind of Digimon will be reincarnated as an unlucky one." Cuckold, yes. Such a disgusting guy, he's actually too embarrassed to go on a date with Mimi. Mom, what do you think would happen if someone was kissed by a shit beast? No? I'm afraid I'll want to die, ha 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 ha. Gluck cluck. The mother and daughter continued to read the comics. In front of you is Upside Down Mountain. Finally to the Grand Line. Gone? Wow, that's too much. It disappeared when I first got on the Grand Line. Naruto looked at it and suddenly broke, like a cat scratching his heart, and said, "This is too appetizing, right? Boss, do you have the next article?" Shen Ye said with a light smile, "This store is not yet available. I want to continue watching." Naruto said helplessly. After reading so many comics, it was the first time he felt that he wanted to kidnap the author and draw comics. "Iyakiro Oda? Where are you? I'm going to tie you up and draw me comics." At this time, a message appeared on the Shen Ye system interface. Customer Uzumaki Naruto has finished reading One Piece, East Blue and obtained, Rubber Fruit Ability. Rubber Fruit Ability Paramecia Devil Fruit, eaten by Monkey D. Luffy in the comics. Rubber fruit can make the person with ability stretch and rebound within a certain range, making the attack of the person with ability more powerful. Normal blows, bullets and lightning are ineffective against it, but it is more afraid of slashing. This reward is only the ability of rubber fruit, so it does not have the characteristic of being cursed by the sea, and the person with the ability will not be affected by water or sea stone. The Hokage protagonist has drawn the abilities of the pirate protagonist. Shen Ye was startled, his expression a little weird. The thought that Naruto would use Luffy's abilities made Shen Ye a little unable to turn this style of painting. Imagine a pair of extra long rubber arms rubbing balls there. Or, a gigantic third gear arm holding a supergiant raised nan. This style of painting is very strange to think about. However, there is no doubt about the ability of rubber fruit. The damage bonus and defense bonus are good, there are many tricks, and it is immune to thunder-type attacks. Moreover, there is a saying in the pirate world. Devil fruit without garbage, only the ability of garbage. Rubber fruit was developed to fourth block by Luffy 2 years later, and even Doflamingo couldn't withstand such a powerful attack. If Naruto can also develop rubber fruit to an advanced level, and then use multiple shadow clone abilities together, the picture will not be too beautiful. Naruto said expectantly, "Hey, boss, what abilities have I acquired?" Shen Ye said, "You will find out later, and I guess you should like it." "Really?" Hearing this, Naruto's eyes lit up. At this moment, a dazzling brilliance fell on Naruto. Naruto felt that a strange energy flowed into his body and merged into every cell of his body, as if he wanted to transform his body from the inside out. Soon, the light dissipates. Naruto looked at his body, he felt stronger than before. And there is an indescribable feeling, as if the whole body is full of elasticity and can be stretched at will. Inazukaya grabbed Naruto's arm and asked curiously, "Naruto, what ability did you get?" However, Inazukaya Tooth pulled Naruto's arm to a strange length. Inazukaya's eyes were bulging out, and he said in surprise, "Naruto, your hand." "I do not know either." "Boss, shouldn't this be?" Naruto looked at Shen Ye and couldn't believe his guess. Shen Ye smiled, "From now on, you are a rubber fruit capable person, and you are still an ability person without the weakness of devil fruit." "I really became a demon fruit power? Still not afraid of the weakness of water?" Naruto was very excited when he heard it, and said to Inazukaya, "Tooth, this is the ability of the protagonist Luffy in the One Piece comics. The name is rubber fruit, which is paramecia in devil fruit. The body of the rubber-powered person can be stretched arbitrarily like rubber, and it is not afraid of fists and bullets." Saying that, Naruto hooked the corners of his mouth with 2 fingers and pulled hard. A mouth was directly stretched by more than 1 meter. Naruto looked funny and said, "How is it? Isn't it an interesting ability?" "This." Inazuka Toga looked stunned, "This is too powerful." Inazuka Pa, mother, and daughter, and 2 other ninjas were also shocked. This kind of thing called devil fruit is so amazing that it can turn a human body into rubber. Even in the Sweji boundary, I have never heard of it being so special. Ha 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 ha. Naruto let go, his mouth snapped back to its original shape, and said proudly, "I'm going to use rubber fruit to scare little Sakura and Sasuke." They must never have expected such an unexpected ability. Naruto excitedly ran out of the manga shop to find Sasuke and Haruno Sakura. Konohamaru, who was sitting next to the unconscious Meng Huang and Yuden, controlled Lu Bulletin, who had only a trace of blood, and nervously avoided the attack of the opposite boss, Cao, who also had only a trace of blood. At this moment, it is the critical moment of your death and my death. The hormones in Konohamaru's brain soared, and the operation was as fierce as a tiger. At this moment, Naruto came over, a rubber arm swung over. Bang! Konohamaru got a pat on the shoulder and shook his hand. LV Bulletin, who was only bloodshot, was killed by Cao on the spot, and the word defeated appeared on the screen. "I've been playing for a long time. It's almost killing Cao. Konohamaru raised his head in astonishment. Naruto had already walked away with a smile, saying as he walked, "Konohamaru, thank you this time. I'll invite you to read the manga another day. I outnumber you in percent. I can thank you so much." Konohamaru had the urge to vomit blood. Inside the comic shop, the 2 disguised Konohachinen also finished watching Dragon Babu and received a reward. One is Kumazai's stunt flaming knife, and the other is the large scissors of the South Blue Crocodile God. After the two received the reward, they left in a hurry. Before long, Inyazuka-za and Inyazuka Hana finally finished reading the Digimon manga. Let's be a goddess beast. It looks good if you can fight. Mechanical Tyrannosaurus is also good. If there is an apocalypse beast, I'm afraid no one in the ninja world will be an opponent. Although the two of them saw so many people getting rewards just now, but now that it was their turn, they couldn't help but feel a little nervous. At this time, Shen Ye's system information appeared. Chapter 0028. Customer Inyazukazu has finished reading Digimon, Part 1, and got Zombie Greymon Experience Card. Zombie Greymon Experience Card can turn any non-human creature into a complete Digimon, Zombie Greymon within 60 minutes, possessing all the abilities of Zombie Greymon. Zombie Greymon, a skeleton-type Digimon with only its skeleton left, completely obsessed with fighting, without any reason, but with a strong desire to destroy. The Zombie Greymon turned into using the experience card still maintains the consciousness of the original owner. After 60 minutes, the ability disappears and the user returns to their original state. Customer Hana Inyazuka has finished reading Digimon, Part 1, and got Shadow Wing Slash. Shadow Wing Slash, Digimon Gagedemon's Nirvana, a powerful skill that uses the ultra-high-speed vacuum sword to smash the enemy. Because of its terrifying speed, it is impossible to see how to attack. After the system is transformed, it can be displayed by chakra. Two dazzling rays of light fell to Inyazuka Claw and Inyazuka Flower successively. It's just that one fell on Inyazuka Claw's hand, and the other fell on Inyazuka Flower. Wait until the light dissipates. Inyazuka Paw lay a black card in his hand with the image of the zombie Tyrannosaurus on the front. And Inyazuka Hana felt that there was a mysterious power in her mind, as if she could mobilize this mysterious power at any time and turn it into an abnormally fierce attack. The mother and daughter looked at Shen Ye at the same time. Shen Ye explained to the mother and daughter, the black card in your hand is the zombie Tyrannosaurus experience card, which can turn a non-human creature into a zombie Tyrannosaurus within 60 minutes. What you get is the Shadow Wing Slash skill, the Nirvana of Gagedeon. Inyazukazu was overjoyed when he heard the words, and looked at the black card in his hand. Although it's just an experience card, this is an experience card for the full-body Digimon Zombie Greymon, and it can play a big role in critical moments. Inyazuka Hana is also very happy. If the Shadow Wing Slash is converted into ninjutsu, it is only not weak compared to A-level ninjutsu. 10,000 taels can be exchanged for 2 such rewards, which is simply worth the money. At this time, a few more Konoha shinobi came in one after another. They all heard that there was a comic shop where people could get mysterious rewards by reading comics, and they came here one after another. Boss, do you have any good comics here? Wow, here's a super beautiful book. I want to see this book of velvet patterns. Obviously it was me who saw it first. I want this Sailor Moon. Damn it, the 2 best comics have been chosen by you. Seeing that several male ninjas were fighting for an 18-ban manga there, Inyazukazu snorted coldly, these guys are really embarrassing for Konoha. Shen Ye was nibbling on the melon seeds and said beside him, it's okay, Hokage also read that book of velvet patterns yesterday. Puff Inyazuka Claw and Inyazuka Flower were petrified together. Is Hokage-sama so hot? People who are almost 70 years old still read this kind of comics? A few ninjas chose the comics and sat down to read them with great interest, giving out bursts of wretched laughter from time to time. Hey, I'm done reading it, it's so cool. Still, a lot of suspense remains. Unexpectedly, Aizen is the villain who hides so deeply. Ichimarujin and Tosen Kaname also defected with him. They went to Hueco Mundo and didn't know what to do there. It's the virtual base camp that opposes Shinigami. Looking forward to Shinigami's next post. After reading the Shinigami manga, Inyazuka Ia breathed a sigh of relief. Of course, it was refreshing to watch, but the more I did, the more I wanted to read the next content. The plot twist at the end was so unexpected. Aizen, who has always shown a kind and refined image, turned out to be the villain. Even the old Yamamoto, who was as strong as the captain of the Godei 13th Division, had no choice but to watch Aizen take Hyaku to Hueco Mundo. But although Aizen is the villain, it is completely unpleasant. On the contrary, Inyazuka has a kind of admiration for Aizen. Extremely calm, extremely indifferent, as confident as mastering everything in the palm of his hand. No need to do anything to show strength. Just standing there makes one feel invincible. This is so compelling, it's about to break through the sky. At this time, system information refresh. Customer Inuyasukaya has finished reading Shinigami Soul Society and obtained Black Cloak. Black Cloak, one of the inventions of Urahara Kisuke, the former captain of the 12th Division of the 13th Division of the Godai Division and the first director of the Technology Development Bureau, who is now the owner of the Urahara shop. Wearing this black cloak completely hides the user Ryutsu, making it impossible for other Shinigami to sense the user's whereabouts. A ray of light fell on Inuyasuka Tooth's hand. Inuyasuka Toga was looking forward to it. The light dissipated, revealing a black cloak. Inuyasukaya, who was full of expectations, was taken aback. Why can't I remember that there is such a thing in Shinigami? Inuyasukaya held the black cloak and looked at Shen Ye. Boss, what is this thing? Shen Ye said, this was invented by Urahara Kisuke, a cloak that can completely hide Shinigami Ryutsu, so that other Shinigami can't sense the user's whereabouts. Inuyasuka Tooth was startled. Is this gone? This is not the Shinigami world, and I don't have Ryutsu. Isn't this black cloak? Inuyasukaya asked a little reluctantly, Boss, is it possible that it will be useful to people other than Shinigami? Possible. Shen Ye thought for a while and said. Real. Inuyasuka Tooth's eyes suddenly lit up. Shen Ye said, if you die, it will also work for your soul to put on this. Inuyasuka Tooth, I am dead. I die. Then I'm dead, what am I doing with it? Wouldn't it be more accurate to say that it's useless at all? Forget it, treat it as a souvenir. However, Inuyasuka also thought about it. After all, yesterday I had already received such a good reward as the Garuruman evolution card. Luck cannot always be your own. Boss, let's go. Your comic shop is amazing, and I'll be back tomorrow. Inuyasuka Peo smiled. She knew very well that this comic shop would bring unimaginable changes to the ninja world. Even the most important way for ninjas to become stronger in the future is likely to be this comic shop full of infinite possibilities. If you can have a good relationship with such a person, it will be of great benefit to the Inuyasuka family. Shen Ye smiled. Welcome. Chapter 0029. Inuyasuka's family left. Shen Ye sat on a chair and drank black tea leisurely, looking at the system panel. Host, Shen Ye Comic, Cut. Crimson Eyes, Sailor Moon Part 1, Dragon Babu, Digimon Part 1, Velvet Kiss, One Piece East Blue Arc, Shinigami Soul Society Arc Extraction, Receive 10 customers can extract a comic book, received, 6/10 people, can extract, 0 times task, accumulate 50 customers, get a mysterious reward, received, 26/50 people 3 more people will be able to draw another comic. The mysterious reward can also be obtained today, I'm looking forward to it. Shen Ye put the black tea to his mouth and took a sip, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Ha ha ha, this rubber fruit ability is really fun. Naruto uses the rubber fruit ability to stretch his arms, face the wind, and swing through the woods like a gibbon. Soon, Naruto came to the Uchiha clan practice ground where Sasuke usually trains. The once lively practice ground of the Uchiha clan is now overgrown with weeds and almost deserted, silently stating the decline of the former #1 strong clan in the ninja world. Sasuke fell to the ground with sweat dripping from his forehead. But he still did not stop practicing. Hatred left him with only one thought of getting stronger. Behind him, 2 silver discs floated. Suddenly, the brilliance flashed and turned into 2 flawless white wings. God's feather. Sasuke's eyes flashed sharply, and he let out a low drink. The wings stretched out, shooting out white feathers like arrows. The feathers are extremely fast, and when they break through the air, they make a piercing sound of bang bang bang. The stake in front was instantly shot into a white hedgehog. Sasuke gasped. Thanks to the strong mental energy of the Uchiha clan, otherwise it would not be enough to support the training of Taigu's intensity. Sasuke, that's amazing. Harano Sakura suddenly appeared from the side to applaud. Sasuke snorted lightly. Harano Sakura came over and held the basket behind Sasuke in front of Sasuke, blushing, that. Sasuke, I made some snacks and they tasted good, do you want to try one? No, I'm not hungry. Sasuke continued to practice Taigu. He collected the family's money, sold some old things, and collected 10,000 taels, ready to go to the comic store later. Harano Sakura looked a little disappointed when he heard the words, and stood there with a basket. Naruto came over at this time, waving his hands, what is gay sa pants pull, it's that Naruto guy again. How can I meet him anywhere? Seeing Naruto, Haruno Sakura was indignant. Thinking of yesterday, the snow demon ape that was summoned by himself went straight to Naruto. It ended up being Naruto and Sasuke together. Naruto was still in Sasuke's arms and called Yajindi Yajindi. She was out of anger. That opportunity should have belonged to him, but it was snatched by this guy Naruto. Just ask if you are angry. Naruto greeted Sasuke. Yo, Sasuke, it seems that you are very skilled at using Tegu. It's not as good as you are skilled in wearing skirts. Sasuke said coldly. Naruto was speechless for a moment. You chat like this, people can't take it. Naruto turned his head to look at Haruno Sakura, saw the dessert in the basket in the latter's hand, his eyes lit up. Little Sakura, is this a dessert you made? Yes. But it's not for you, it's for Sasuke. Haruno Sakura hummed. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Sasuke turned his head. Naruto gave a sly smile, his hands knitted together. Bang! A puff of white smoke rose. Naruto turned into Naruto, put his body against Sasuke, and said tenderly, Sasuke, I really want to eat one. Haruno Sakura is like a thunderclap. Come again. Get away from me. Sasuke felt the sudden wrapping sensation of his arm, his hair stood on end, and hurriedly threw off Naruto's hand. I reacted yesterday. In the end, it was Naruto's face that I even dreamed of. Terrible. Naruto frowned slightly, put his finger on his mouth, showing a sad expression, Zo. Haruno Sakura couldn't bear to punch anymore, and said angrily, BD Naruto, you still have no end, bang. Naruto, who was punched by Haruno Sakura, lifted the transformation technique and changed back to Naruto. Naruto's body didn't move, but his head moved out 5 or 6 meters, with a long neck in the middle. Haruno Sakura, who was still angry at first, was immediately turned pale with fright. Naruto, Naruto. Even Sasuke's pupil shrank, startled. Hey, how's it going? Naruto kept this weird look and said proudly, this is the ability I just got from the comic shop, the rubber fruit of Luffy, the protagonist of One Piece comics. It's interesting, right? Snapped. Naruto retracted his neck with a snap, and said with a bright face, now, my whole body is like rubber, and any part can be stretched at will like just now. Moreover, it has super fighting ability and is immune to lightning style ninjutsu. Naruto said, I just had an idea to invent a new move, rubber slingshot. Sasuke, little Sakura, do you two want to watch it? Not interested in. Not interested in. Sasuke and Haruno Sakura spoke in unison. It must be something so boring. However, Naruto didn't care what the two of them were saying. He stretched out his arms to wrap around the 2 tree stumps and then kept retreating, like a slingshot, stretching the rubber elasticity of his arms to the limit. Naruto shouted, rubber slingshot. After Naruto finished speaking, his feet loosened, and his strong elasticity shot him out like a cannonball. Haruno Sakura was standing next to him, and a gust of wind lifted his skirt directly. Haruno Sakura said angrily while covering her skirt, Naruto, you idiot. Can you have a snack? Naruto, who was shot, turned his head and smiled, how about it, isn't it a very powerful move? Sasuke put his hands in Kabuto and snorted softly, then you didn't look at what was in front of you before you shot. When Naruto heard this, he turned his head and saw a stone tower standing in front of him. Naruto's face changed slightly, and he soon showed an expression of indifference, saying, don't underestimate the ability of rubber fruit, it has many moves, rubber and balloons. Saying that, Naruto inhaled violently, and his body suddenly turned into a round rubber balloon. Naruto, inflated into a balloon, banged against the stone tower. The spherical rubber body took the impact, and Naruto was covered in rubber without any damage. Sasuke said indifferently, this guy has a brain. However, the force of Naruto's impact on the stone tower caused an uncontrolled explosion of air within him. Naruto hurriedly closed his mouth, fearing that his mouth would leak. However, the mouth was blocked, but some place behind him became exhaust. The air that was rushing around in the body found a vent and began to spurt wildly. Puff! That place became something like the bottom-end thruster of a rocket. Naruto flew in the sky like a punctured balloon and rushed towards Sasuke. Sasuke's face changed suddenly, his right eye jumped wildly, and there was an ominous premonition. Chapter 0030. Seeing Naruto rushing straight towards him, he didn't mean to stop at all. Sasuke wanted to hide, but it was too late. Bang! Naruto directly bumped into Sasuke's body, with a boo sound, and even his mouth collided. Naruto's and Sasuke's eyes bulged at the same time. Naruto, number, BD Sasuke, you should hide. Sasuke, number, BD Naruto, look at it. Haruno Sakura's brain was just blank. This scene happened just when the class was divided, and now it happens again. Why? Why is fate so cruel to me? Sasuke tried to push Naruto away, but Naruto was still blasting gas behind him. The two rolled out a full 10 meters on the ground before they stopped. On the ground, a long trace was left. Haruno Sakura is top-heavy, wobbly, and somewhat unsteady. First, second time. Sasuke's first time was stolen by Naruto. And now again. Why is this happening? I feel like I'm going to crack now. BD Naruto, get up for me. Sasuke kicked Naruto, who was pressing down on him, and ran to the side, retching frantically. Naruto also turned his face away and retched. The two of them almost collapsed. This time it was even more disgusting than the last time. Why can I always encounter this kind of thing with this guy? Naruto, I'm going to kill you. Haruno Sakura suddenly burst out with murderous intent, clenched his fists, and walked towards Naruto. Naruto, who was retching, suddenly felt the terrifying murderous aura coming from behind him, and hurriedly fled. Little Sakura, listen to me, this is definitely an accident. I don't care. I just want to tear you apart now. Ya butterfly ah. It's this voice again. Hokage office. Sarutobi Hiruzen was holding his chin in his hands at this time, his eyes were surging with darkness, looking at Naruto in the crystal ball, and said to himself, is it the ability to stretch the body at will? His heart was full of solemnity. That comic shop is really full of too many mysteries. From Kakashi's mysterious gentleman's stick that can rebound ninjutsu, to Konohamaru's sturdy puppy Taigu, to Hyuga Hanabi's exaggerated improvement in punching Hyuga Hayashi, and now Naruto's body is as weird as rubber ability. One jaw-dropping ability appears in the comic shop. He didn't know how many more comic shops could appear. This kind of reward was completely different from the ninja world. If things go on like this, Konohamaru's current balance may be disrupted if it doesn't work. But what can he do? The owner of that comic shop was halfway across the Konoha village, and he could easily regenerate his spiritual power. If he hadn't kept his hand yesterday, it would have been enough to directly kill his spirit. This is not something he can provoke, and even the entire Konoha may not be able to provoke it. But if the comic shop keeps going like this, Konoha village will soon be out of his grasp. He was completely caught in a dilemma. For the first time in his life, he thought the Hokage was a hoot. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Enter. Sarutobi Hiruzen cancelled the telescope technique. Open the door, Yudin Koharu walked in. Seeing that it was Yudin Koharu, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly lost the calmness he had just now, and his brain was buzzing with pain. It's all my fault for not throwing that thing away yesterday, resulting in such a misunderstanding. Until now, he still didn't know how to explain it. Yudin Koharu glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen, then withdrew his gaze and whispered, Hiruzen, why didn't you go to me? Sarutobi Hiruzen was speechless. This trademark is just a misunderstanding, how can you take it seriously? Besides, how old are you and still have so many ideas? Sarutobi Hiruzen would love to make it clear. However, the Hokage office is not the place to talk about such things after all, and Anbu is deployed next to it. If someone finds out about this matter, I am afraid it will become a joke for the whole Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen coughed and said, Koharu, some things are inconvenient to say right now. You can go to my house and we'll talk later in the evening. As soon as Sarutobi Hiruzen said to go to his house, Yudin Koharu asked in a low voice, what? Isn't Asuma home at night? I outnumber you in percent. What do you think? Sarutobi Hiruzen vomited blood in his heart, and still looked calm on the surface, and said, when the time comes, you will come, and we will make it clear. When Yudin Koharu left, Sarutobi Hiruzen stroked his forehead. Oh, my brain hurts. Sasuke put his hands in Kabuto, his face sullen. I couldn't help recalling what happened just now in my mind. The more I thought about it, the more goosebumps I got, and I couldn't help shivering. In the hot summer, the cold hairs stand up. Finally, come to the comic shop. Sasuke walked into the manga store, where several ninjas were reading manga. Do you read comics? There are 10 kinds of dried fruit or dried meat on Shen Ye's table, and he throws one into his mouth from time to time. After the comic shop's income was 55 points from the system yesterday, he also gained 32,500 taels. Now that I have money on hand, my life will definitely be more moist than before. Sasuke nodded and said, the second time is 10,000 taels. That's right. Sasuke paid 10,000 taels and walked to the bookshelf. Only One Piece, East Blue Arc and Shinigami, Soul Society Arc are left on it. Naruto should be reading this One Piece, right? Sasuke hesitated for a moment and finally chose One Piece, East Blue. Sasuke took the manga and went to read it. After that, one after another, Konoha shinobi users got rewards after reading the manga. But these are some relatively common rewards, nothing worth mentioning. Soon, Kakashi walks into the manga store. Kakashi waved his hand and said hello, yo, boss, looks like your business here is very good. Shen Ye chuckled, it's okay. I hope I can have good luck today. Kakashi put the 10,000 taels on the table and went to choose the manga. He has already reported the manga shop to Sarutobi Hiruzen, and has done his due diligence, and the rest is out of his control. And there is such a comic shop that can benefit from reading comics, of course he will not miss it. Some people may even dislike money, but absolutely no one will dislike strength. Kakashi suddenly saw Sasuke, who was reading the manga, and said, Sasuke, you are here too. Sasuke raised his head, gave a simple answer and continued to look down at the manga. Kakashi shook his head. Seeing Sasuke, he seemed to see himself as a child. Because his father was driven to death by the gossip in the village, and he was almost paranoid and did not want to be close to others. Until one day someone named Uchiha Obito changed him. He said, if those who break the rules are trash, then those who don't know how to value their companions are even worse than trash. I think Konoha's White Fang is a real hero. He also taught this phrase to his students. Seeing Naruto, he seemed to see Obito, who had left him. He hopes that Naruto can also change Sasuke's heart. Chapter 0031. Stop thinking about the sad past. Kakashi came to the bookshelf and chose Shinigami Soul Society among several manga. Kakashi held the manga, leaned against the bookshelf, and looked quietly. Since reading the comics in the comic shop, he has not even felt so high expectations for the intimate paradise written by Jiraiya. After half an hour, Sasuke finished watching One Piece, East Blue. System messages are refreshed. Customer Uchiha Sasuke has finished reading One Piece, East Blue Arc and obtained Zoro's 3 Swordsmanship. Zoro's 3 Swordsmanship. Zoro practiced the 2 swordsmanship from a young age, and later apprenticed under Kojiro's door, often challenging Kojiro's daughter Kuina but never winning. Although Kuina is skilled in swordsmanship, Kojiro believes that women are inherently destined not to be top swordsmen. Unwilling, Kuina went to fetch her saber and Ai character at night, but unfortunately stumbled and fell to her death. Zoro is deeply saddened to hear of Kuina's death. From then on, in order to become stronger together with Kuina's share, he began to practice the 3-sword-style swordsmanship hard, until one day he can become the world's largest swordsman whose name resounds in heaven and can be heard by Kuina's soul. Naruto got Luffy's rubber fruit, Sasuke got Zoro's 3 swordsmanship, shouldn't it be fate? Shen Ye looked at the system message and smiled. Hokage Boy 1 gets the abilities of Pirate Boy 1, Hokage Boy 2 gets the abilities of Pirate Boy 2. It seems that this Hokage world has been brought more and more crooked by itself. However, this is quite interesting. Create a completely different Hokage world with a comic shop. A brilliant light fell on Sasuke. At the same time, a tyrannical and complicated kendo information poured into his consciousness. In his consciousness, there seemed to be a figure of perseverance. He held a knife in both hands and held the knife in his mouth, swaying all kinds of kendo moves to his heart's content. Humans, trees, stones, houses. Any object is mercilessly cut open before the 3 swordsmanship. This is. Sasuke's eyes twinkled with excitement. Without introduction, he already knew what the reward of this 3-sword swordsmanship was. After all, there is only one person who uses this kind of swordsmanship in the One Piece manga. Roronoa Zoro. Although he is arrogant, he only has a kind of admiration for the role of Zoro. Zoro's perseverance is unimaginable for ordinary people. As long as he can become stronger, no matter what the pain is, he can be happy. This tenacity even he was ashamed of. Also, Zoro has the heart of a true swordsman. Even in the face of the world's largest swordsman, Eagle Eye Mihawk, he did not have any timidity and confusion, and dared to challenge head-on. Recognizing the gap between the two sides, he did not escape, but chose to meet Mihawk's knife in the most calm way. Even Mihawk was also infected by Zoro's swordsman's heart, and he was sure that Zoro was a strong man worthy of him pulling out the Black Sword Knight, which is known as the most powerful sword in the world. Although he didn't get any devil fruit, he was also very satisfied to get this 3 swordsmanship. Although the Uchiha clan also has inherited swordsmanship, there is still a gap between them and the 3 swordsmanship. This kind of swordsmanship is extremely powerful, and it can also deliver slashes in the air. He heard that there is a class of masters called samurai in the Kingdom of Iron, specializing in swordsmanship, but even those samurai may not be able to compare to this 3-sword swordsmanship in swordsmanship. It seems that you already know your reward. Shen Ye smiled lightly. Well, strong swordsmanship. Sasuke nodded. He found himself completely fascinated by Shen Ye's comic shop. Increasing strength is like a dream. He practiced as hard as before, but the results were still very slow. Even if he has the name of a genius, the cultivation speed of any ninjutsu or taijutsu makes others stunned, but it is still not enough for him. It's not enough to get revenge on Uchiha Itachi. And when he came to Shen Ye's comic shop, in just 2 days, he got the 3 swordsmanship and the Tegumastima, and his strength suddenly improved a lot. It made him feel like never before that he was getting closer and closer to revenge. However, he now has a very real problem. That is, no money. 2 days spent 15,000 taels. He has spent all his money, and now he urgently needs to take on tasks to earn money. Having tasted the benefits of the comic shop, he has been completely inseparable from the comic shop. This is the only place in the world where you can get rewards for reading comics. In any case, it was impossible for him to give up coming to the comic shop. Sasuke walked over to Kakashi. Kakashi put down the manga. What's wrong? Do we have any assignments lately? No money. Kakashi's eyes light up with a smile. Sasuke touched his nose. Exactly, I took a sea-level mission before I came. Sea-level mission? Sasuke's eyes lit up when he heard this. Before, they were all D-level tasks that were boring and low reward, such as looking for cats, dogs, and children. What if you just became a genin and can only take on this kind of task? Now I can finally take on a decent task, and most importantly, the reward will definitely increase. Yes, to escort a bridge specialist named Dasna to the land of waves. Kakashi said, if the task is completed, the 3 of you should each be paid no less than 25,000 taels. By the way, leaving tonight. Wait a minute and you just inform Naruto and little Sakura. Are they going to meet and never beheaded? Shen Ye put the black tea to his mouth and smiled. In the original comic book, they were the one who met one of the 7 ninja swordsmen on this trip. It was also from this mission that Naruto embarked on the road of no return. Whether you are the 7 ninja swordsmen or the leader of the Xia organization, you will be grateful if you say that you commit suicide on the spot. Hearing that there is a sea-level mission, Sasuke beamed with joy. 25,000 taels, even in a sea-level mission, the reward is not low. In this case, I will have money for my next visit to the comic shop. Sasuke said goodbye and left. He can't wait to go home to get the 3 knives, try out the 3 knives and swordsmanship, and then wait for the mission. Sasuke just left. A figure scolded and walked into the comic shop. Puss are not like thieves eating and living in the nest. Can you please stop pestering me? Acid nest button puss, wide wave is also wide? Forget me begging you, can you? The nest chicken is like a pot. I'm really fed up. Asuma's mouth was swollen like 2 sausages, and he said vaguely to the shit beast who couldn't get rid of it no matter how much he swung behind him. His heart was broken. No one will ever know that when you open your eyes, you see a fecal beast giving you artificial respiration with a deeply intoxicated expression. What a feeling of collapse and despair. Even my mouth is swollen. The ghost knows what the shit beast did before he woke up. It hurts to think about it. Why are other people's comics rewards all kinds of good, but this is the case here? I'm afraid it's this shit beast that I've spent 8 lifetimes of bad luck drawing. Chapter 0032. It was because my luck was so low yesterday that it exploded. So Asuma decided that he would come back to the comic shop today. My bad luck has been used up, this time I will definitely be able to draw something good. Kakashi waved his hand when he saw Asuma. Yo, Asuma. When Asuma heard Kakashi's voice, he didn't dare to turn around. He quickly took off the handkerchief protecting the 12 ninjas from his waist and wrapped his mouth around his mouth. Then he turned around and said, "It's like a game, Humin, it's Kakashi." Ah, what a coincidence. Kakashi was startled. Where did you go? Have you learned such a unique dialect? At this time, the poop beast rushed towards Asuma and said tearfully, "Master. The pus is smashing the pot, and the nest is dripping with the pus. If you dare to come here again, I will really kill you." Asuma said with a fierce expression. However, with this inconvenient dialect, it seems very funny. However, the poop beast was still too scared to approach, and stayed outside the comic shop honestly. Shen Ye held the black tea with a smile on the corner of his mouth. It seems that something indescribable happened between one person and one person. The whole world is quiet. Asuma breathed a sigh of relief, finally got a rare quiet moment, paid the money, and went to the bookshelf to choose comics. There is actually no choice. On the bookshelf, there is only the pirate book that Sasuke just put back. Asuma picked up the pirate manga and found a spot. Kakashi asked curiously, "Asuma, your mouth. Yezongtong is responsible for solar pus yebo cold. There is a kind of pain that you don't understand. Asuma is bitter. My first tattoo. It was taken away by that beast like that." Kakashi looked at Asuma, then at the pitiful shit beast outside the door, and looked down at the comic book again. No need to ask, the story is already on the face. You taste carefully. Outside the comic shop, a genin youth with silver grey hair and a navy blue uniform pushed the glasses on the bridge of his nose and looked at the comic shop. Under the spectacle lenses that refracted the sun, a pair of eyes shone with sharp rays of light. By reading comics, can you gain abilities from comics? Really interesting. Come in and have a look. Orochimaru might be interested here. The corner of Genin's mouth raised slightly, and he stepped into the comic shop. This guy actually came? Seeing the Genin youth, Shen Ye's eyes showed a hint of fun. Yakushi Kabuto. A spy with multiple identities. Of course, the most important thing is Orochimaru's assistant, and he mainly listens to Orochimaru's orders. The first appearance in the original story is in the future Chunin exam. In order to seek information, he disguised himself as a Konoha genin who failed the Chunin exam many times, and his identity was later revealed. At the time, no one would have thought that the humble assistant beside Orochimaru would become a very important figure in the Fourth Ninja War in the future. And he appeared here, presumably to inquire about information for Orochimaru. "Good day, boss." Yakushi Kabuto looked innocent and simple, and smiled. "I heard that in your comic shop, you can get rewards from comics just by reading comics. I don't know if it is true." "That's right. Anyway, they are sending money to the door, so Shen Ye has no reason to refuse." In the comic shop, let alone Yakushi Kabuto, even Orochimaru, he is no different from killing an ant. Yakushi Kabuto asked, "How much?" Shen Ye said, "The first time I watched 5,000 taels, I could only read one copy a day. After that, the price doubled with the number of times. Sure enough, it's as expensive as the rumored one, but I'm still curious to try it." Yakushi Kabuto put 5,000 taels on the table and smiled, "Then can I choose one now?" "There are no comics yet, you have to wait." Shen Ye said. "Fine." Yakushi Kabuto sat and waited while looking at the manga shop. Seeing that Kakashi and Asuma were there, his pupil shrank. Both of them are elite genin of Konoha's reputation. Especially Kakashi, who is almost the most famous ninja in Konoha besides Hokage and Sunin. If you are not careful, you may find your own clues. But it seemed Kakashi was so absorbed in it that he didn't care about him at all. A few minutes later, a Konoha genin finished watching Crimson Eyes. A brilliant beam of light fell in front of him. The genin looked expectant and kept praying. "I used up my savings for 2 months. As long as you can get a piece of Emperor Tool, you can turn over in Konoha. The upcoming Chunin exam will be easy to pass, and even becoming a genin will no longer be difficult." The light fades away, on the ground was an exaggerated Gatling gun. Yakushi Kabuto next to him narrowed his eyes. Exactly as rumored. It really came out of nowhere. And it's an otherworld item that has never been seen in this world. Yakushi Kabuto looked at Shen Ye and saw that the latter was always calm, with doubts in his heart. Who is this boss? What's up with this comic shop? Moreover, such an out-of-the-ordinary comic shop opened in Konoha, but Konoha didn't seem to send anyone to stop it. This was not Konoha's previous style of behavior. Both Third Hokage and Danzo are masters who will never allow any instability in Konoha. Anything that may threaten the Konoha regime will be eradicated immediately. But this comic shop? Could it be that even they dare not provoke the owner of this comic shop? Thinking of this, Yakushi Kabuto looked at Shen Ye with a stern look in his eyes. When one question after another appeared in Yakushi Kabuto's mind, the genin looked at the Gatling gun and asked, "Boss, this is?" Dr. Fashion is a rotating machine gun made from dangerous species. Shen Ye introduced, there are a total of 1,000 rounds of bullets in it, and they're gone after they're fired. 1,000 rounds, so much? Genin was surprised. Shen Ye coughed, the rate of fire of this gun is 3,000 rounds per minute. Every, 3,000 rounds per minute. Genin was taken aback for a moment, then after a while, a depressed expression appeared. If you use these 1,000 rounds of bullets all the time, will they last for 20 seconds? Forget it, at least this thing can save lives at critical moments. Genin picked up the machine gun, his face changed. This machine gun is at least 50 pounds, right? We are ninjas, we are all about being light-packed and flexible. If you carry such a heavy guy with you, just buy a space scroll. The space scroll thing is ridiculously expensive and can only be used once. In an instant, the genin's joy of being rewarded was washed away. Chapter 0033. The Konoha genin left, and Yakushi Kabuto asked, "Now, can I watch it?" "Can." Shen Ye put away the 5,000 taels. Yakushi Kabuto picks up Chop. Crimson Eyes sat in the corner. Soon he was substituted into the plot. He almost forgot that he was here to find out information, and began to guess the direction of the plot. There are 10 more customers, you can draw another comic. Shen Ye looked at the numbers on the system panel, smiled slightly, and drew new comics. Start extracting, extracted comics, Do Sol, Part 1 Do Sol, Part 1, the young man who used to be famous for moving Wuchen suddenly stopped advancing and retreating 3 years ago, and became a joke in the entire Wuchen. 3 years later, a young girl with whom he had been engaged came to Xiao's house and publicly demanded to break off the marriage. Seeing the shame of his father, the head of the family, the young man wrote a divorce letter in a fit of anger. He agreed that after 3 years, he would go to the girl's sect to be one level up or down. Dopo? Is that a comic adapted from a classic web text from a previous life? Seeing that he had drawn Dopo, Shen Ye chuckled and said, "I don't know who can draw a strange fire. Dopo's worldview is not that strong in Xianhuan. But in the world of Hokage, I feel that it can be called very strong. And the most representative features of this book are those strange fires that combine the power of heaven and earth. If anyone wants to draw a different fire, I am afraid that they will be able to aspire to the name of the strongest fire style. Although Uchiha Ataka's Amaterasu is known as the strongest fire style, it will not be extinguished unless the target is burned, but in the comics, there is no one burned to death from the beginning to the end. Different fires can be different. As soon as the strange fire came out, the land collapsed and the ground cracked, and everything was burnt. It was the most violent thing in the Do Sol world. Even if it's not a strange fire, there are countless good things in the world of Do Sol. Do Di and Do Sheng can come up with anything decent, and they can be called big killers. The other side, Sasuke leaves the manga shop and goes home to find some ninja swords his father once kept in his collection. Carrying 3 knives to a secluded woods to practice. No way, the practice ground of the Uchiha clan had already left a shadow on him, and the thought of it made him shiver all over. However, when Sasuke came here, he saw Naruto practicing rubber fruit there. Rubber rubber pistol. Rubber rubber bell. Rubber rubber axe. Naruto kept practicing Luffy's abilities that he saw in the comics. The strong force of the rubber body exploded, knocking down trees one after another. Suddenly, Naruto found Sasuke, stopped, and pouted, "Why are you looking for me? Who is looking for you?" Sasuke hummed, "I came here to train, who would have thought that they could meet you even here?" The corners of Naruto's mouth raised, with a fighting intent in his eyes, and said, "Just in time, I want to practice rubber fruit, why don't we go together? But I can put my words up front. My rubber fruit is very strong, if it hurts you, don't cry too hard." "Haha. Sasuke just wanted to vent. He pulled out 3 knives, and said, "I should tell you this." Sasuke bit a knife in his mouth, holding one in each hand, in Zoro's most common stance. "This is Zoro's 3 swords." Naruto recognized at a glance that Sasuke was using Zoro's 3-knife swordsmanship, and his eyes became more competitive, and said, "Interesting. Let's fight to see who is more powerful." Rubber bullets. Naruto clenched his fists and rushed out. The fist stretched back and shot out like a bullet. 3 swords, tiger hunt. Sasuke bit the handle of the knife in his mouth, and the other 2 knives moved as if they were behind his back, and the 3 knives slashed together. Bang! Bang! Naruto and Sasuke rushed together. A rubber fruit, a 3-knife swordsmanship, fighting fiercely. If Shen Ye saw this scene, he would definitely be very interested. Fans of the 2 comics in the previous life, about who is the best Naruto and Sasuke, and who is the best Luffy and Zoro, have not less torn be it's good now. Add up directly, and even more tier. It's a really good story. After reading the Shinigami manga, Kakashi felt like he had experienced a baptism. When they saw Kurosaki Ichigo, they desperately went to the execution ground to save Rukia. He admits that the scene brought some tears to his eyes. If those who break the rules are trash, then those who don't know how to value their peers are even worse than trash. Kurosaki Ichigo and the others have such a belief in their hearts. As a companion, although there are thousands of people, I will go. It hit the softest point in his heart. At this time, a message appeared on Shen Ye's system interface. Customer Hitaki Kakashi has finished reading Shinigami Soul Society and obtained Shinigami Thunder series. Instant Coax, Thunder System, a skill formed by combining white hits and kid. The back and shoulders of the practitioner who use this move will be wrapped in a high concentration of compressed kid, and then the explosion will make kid and his own hands and feet merge into one fighting as one. The inventor is Shihaoran Yuryuki. This skill makes the practitioner's fists and feet have great destructive power. After system transformation, it can be cast through chakra. Due to stats, only those with lightning-style chakra can use it. Is Shunkoku still classified? Shen Ye looked at Kakashi's reward and thought to himself. The manga also does not elaborate on this ability. However, Yuryuki's instant coaxing is indeed different from that of Broken Bee. The former is in the shape of thunder and lightning, while the latter is in the shape of wind. But there is no doubt that instant coaxing is definitely a very powerful combat skill. Can greatly increase the user's strength and speed. Yuryuki turns on the instant coax and destroys a forest with just one move. As for the various instant coax forms developed by Yuryuki in the later stage, they are stronger, and the combat value is explosive. However, the instant coaxing of this reward is just Yuryuki's instant coaxing ability in the Soul Society chapter. A colorful light fell on Kakashi. Kakashi felt an esoteric message flood his mind. Even with his genius mind, it was difficult to deal with it for a while. After all, this is the ability that Yuryuki has worked hard to create for a long time. How can it be simple? After a while, the infusion of this message is over. Only then did Kakashi slowly open his right eye, exhaled a long breath, and said with shock, "Soon Coax, very strong ability, no weaker than Guy's 8 inner gates. To be able to create such a secret method. That woman called Shihaoran Yuryuki is an incredible super genius." Chapter 0034. Kakashi once saw Might Guy perform the 7th gate of 8 inner gates. That's when he was overwhelmed by the terrifying power displayed by the 8 inner gates. Every punch and kick has destructive power beyond ordinary ninjutsu. And Shunko's ability is no weaker than the 7th gate of 8 inner gates. As for whether it was stronger or weaker than the 8th gate of the 8 inner gates, he didn't know. After all, it was an ability that would definitely kill him if he used it once. Might Guy wouldn't have used the 8th gate if he hadn't been cornered. A powerful secret technique like instant coaxing is the top secret no matter where it is placed in any village. Not everyone is qualified to cultivate. The first gentleman's stick, the second instant coax. Kakashi feels that the 15,000 taels he spent reading manga these 2 times can no longer be described as value for money. With these 2 things, he already has the strength to fight against 5 cage level powerhouses. You are lucky. Shen Ye joked. Kakashi scratched the back of his head and smiled, it's really good luck. But if it wasn't for the owner to open this comic shop, I wouldn't have a chance even if I wanted to be so lucky. I'll go first, come back when I have time. As soon as Kakashi went out, he ran into Hyuga Hayashi and sisters Hinata and Hanabi to read manga. It's Kakashi. Chief Hyuga. The two said hello. Hyuga Hayashi walks into the manga store with Hinata and Hanabi. Looking at the customers in the manga shop, Hyuga Hayashi smiled and said, "Boss, business is much better today than yesterday." "Good." Shen Ye said. "Hey, sister, don't you have something for Shen Ye-kun?" Hanabi bumped Hinata with his shoulder and laughed, "I saw you practiced many times in front of the mirror at home, why are you embarrassed now?" "That, Hinata blushed, her hands behind her back. Although she had imagined it many times at home, she didn't know what to say when she saw Shen Ye. "You still want me to help you?" Hanabi took out the gift box behind Hinata and put it on the table, smiled and said, "Shen Ye-kun, this is the black tea my sister prepared for you. She visited many stores yesterday, picked it out for you, and packaged it carefully." "Oh. Yeah, no." The blush on Hinata's cheeks burned to the base of his ears, and his two slender fingers kept tapping. "Thank you, little Hinata." Shen Ye smiled and accepted it politely. Seeing Shen Ye accepting the gift, Hinata breathed a sigh of relief, and when she heard Shen Ye calling her little Hinata again, she felt sweet. Looking at Hinata's appearance, Hyuga Hayashi sighed inwardly. Is this the so-called women's college not staying in? As for Hinata's liking for Shen Ye, he naturally has no opinion, and even supports it. The Hyuga family is the #1 family of Konoha today, and Hinata is the princess of the Hyuga family. This identity alone is enough for countless people to look up to. But if it is in front of Shen Ye, it really doesn't matter. In the future, the entire ninja world will undergo earth-shaking changes due to Shen Ye's comic shop. Shen Ye is likely to become a position comparable to the Sage of Six Paths who once created the ninja sect. If the Hyuga family can forge a good relationship with Shen Ye, then in the future, they will have a position far beyond the present in the ninja world. Of course, the most important thing for him as a father is to want his daughter to be happy. And looking at Hinata's appearance, it is clear that there is no need to worry about this. Hyuga Hayashi whispered to Shen Ye, "That boss, do you have any more powerful comics to recommend?" The last Tianlong Babu made him feel very hurt. "This time I decided to change to a manga." Shen Ye recommended, "That Shinigami Soul Society is very good, Kakashi just got a very good ability." "Thank you so much." Hyuga Hayashi picked up the Shinigami manga without hesitation. Hanabi looked at the only one left on the shelf, Dopo Part 1? "Shen Ye-kun, is this the new comic that arrived today?" Shen Ye nodded, "Yes, no one has seen it yet." "That's it. My sister and I read one." Hanabi smiled and pulled Hinata aside to read the manga. The two sisters opened the comic and were quickly attracted by the plot of Dopo. Although the opening chapter of Dopo is a waste stream from the previous life where the online literature has been rotten on the street. But for Hinata and Hanabi, who have no experience in reading online texts, it is very attractive. The protagonist cannot cultivate, and is ridiculed and suppressed by all kinds of people around him. Even the cousin who had been around him all the time turned a blind eye to him and looked arrogant. All of a sudden, the emotions of the two sisters were hooked up. Then, there was the breakout plot that was once very popular in the online literary world. The girl who once had a marriage contract with the protagonist came to the protagonist's family and asked to break the marriage in public, which not only made the protagonist resentful, but also made the protagonist's father lose face. At this time, the emotions of the Hinata sisters as readers were suppressed to the ultimate. "This woman is too much. Relying on my background, I look down on people like that. The elder's face is disgusting enough, and he doesn't even want his dignity when he sees the medicine pill." The two sisters watched and talked, completely substituting in, as if you are the protagonist. At this time, here comes the highest part. The protagonist categorically rejected the girl's medicinal pill and divorced her marriage. With a wave of the wolf, she wrote a divorce letter and said loudly, 30 years in Hedong, 30 years in Hexi, don't bully young poor." Throwing the divorce book to the girl, the protagonist turned and left dashingly. Just a word, however, the depression that had accumulated in Hinata and Hanabi's hearts was instantly reversed and became a burst of joy. "That's a good sentence. Don't bully the poor, it's cool to hear it." Hinata and Hanabi are both caught up in the plot at the moment and fascinated to watch. Then, when the teenager was helpless, an old grandfather suddenly appeared from the ring. From then on, the protagonist began all kinds of ways to the peak of his life. Seeing that Hinata and Hanabi looked good, Shen Ye smiled unexpectedly. It is no accident that Dopo can become one of the representative works of online literature in the previous life. Not to mention coercion. The life of the protagonist Xiao Yan is a life of pretending. And the rhythm of the plot and the sense of anticipation inside are also quite in place, people can't bear to leave once they see it. For a novice like Hinata and Hanabi who don't even know what the internet is, it is naturally hard to resist. Chapter 0035. At this time, Asuma finally finished watching One Piece, East Blue, his mouth was swollen, and he spoke a lot more quickly. He looked forward to saying, "Luck was so bad last time, it's time to change it this time." In the pirate world, in addition to devil fruit, there are also a variety of physical skills such as murloc karate. If you can get the same, it can be regarded as making up for the loss of yesterday. After all, the poop beast yesterday was already a reward that can no longer be given, and it is impossible to suffer the same as the poop beast today. At this time, System Information Update. Customer Sarutobi Asuma has finished reading One Piece, East Blue and got Alvida. Alvida. Captain of the Alvida Pirates, a bloated, ugly, Madara-faced female pirate, but always thinks she is the most beautiful woman in East Blue. Use a mace as a weapon, with a bounty of 5 million Baileys. If Alvida is defeated by a man, he will consider this man his husband and will do anything to get him. Asuma's luck is simply. Shen Ye looked at the refreshed system information and couldn't help but sigh. You know, this reward is not the future Alvida who eats the slippery fruit and becomes a beauty. It's that all-natural Alvida. Grumpy, full-faced Madara, stronger than a bear. But I don't know where the confidence comes from. I often ask others who is the most beautiful woman in East Blue. No man can endure such a superb woman. It happened to be drawn by Asuma. The first time rewards Poop Beast, the second time rewards Alvida. This luck, I want to ask who else? Shen Ye had to cast a sympathetic look at Asuma. However, Asuma didn't notice it and asked expectantly, "Boss, what is the reward this time?" "A woman." Shen Ye thought for a while and said, "Woman." Hearing this, Asuma's eyes suddenly lit up. Nami? Nokihai? Kaya? Or Tashiji? They are all beautiful beauties, if they can draw. Seeing Asuma's expression that he couldn't keep, Shen Ye knew that he thought too much. Wait a minute, you'll doubt your life when you see the reward. A splendid beam of light descended from the sky and landed in front of Asuma. Asuma's expression revealed undisguised excitement. No one could understand the feeling of the first reward being a shit beast. No matter what the second reward is, it will make him feel like his luck is counterattacking. Soon, Asuma felt something was wrong. Is this light too wide? The beauties in the pirate world are all those with long legs and thin waists, shouldn't that be the case? Bang! Suddenly, a steel sound came from the light. Asuma's face twitched. I go. Wouldn't this reward be a mess, right? I had already drawn a poop beast last time. It's time to turn around this time, and make up for it. Forget it, no matter what the reward is, at least it won't be worse than the shit beast. Asuma comforted himself in his heart. The brilliance fades away, an ugly woman with a bloated body and a face full of T.S., Madara, wearing a pirate captain's cape, a shocking iron mace, and green bean-sized eyes staring at Asuma coldly, humming, looks like a big horse. The monkey-like guy, is it you who summoned me into this world? Asuma looked at Alvida in front of him, and all the illusions were shattered. Is this the female pirate from the beginning of the pirate manga? This is my reward? I bought a watch last year. Why is my reward like this again? Why? 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 4. The question kept replaying in Asuma's mind. My mind is broken. Every time the reward is this kind of ghost, who can stand it? Everyone else in the comic shop was stunned for a moment, and almost couldn't help laughing. Is this Asuma's reward? This is too inspiring, isn't it? It seems that only Asuma can afford it. Alvida looked at Asuma, who was speechless, and snorted coldly, I'm asking you something, but you dare to treat me like air. Give me death. Saying that, Alvida swung his mace and smashed it at Asuma. The mace slammed vigorously, accompanied by the whistling wind. Asuma, who was so depressed that he vomited blood, saw that the person he had summoned actually dared to shoot at him, and immediately burst into anger without any reservation. Wind-style chakra wrapped around his fist and smashed towards Alvida. Bang! Alvida's mace didn't hit Asuma, but instead was kicked out by Asuma. Alvida's body fell to the ground with a boom, and the entire comic shop seemed to be shaken. Asuma closed his fists and turned around, scolding, "MD, this luck is too bad. I smoke a shit beast, and I smoke this thing again, is my luck so bad?" Asuma's heart was bleeding. African chiefs can't afford to hurt. At this time, Alvida stood up and looked at Asuma's back with an unprecedented brilliance in his eyes, and said excitedly, "Wait." Asuma turned his head and said angrily, "Did I say you haven't been beaten enough? Do not." Alvida stepped forward with a frenzy and said, "You are the first man who can defeat me. I allow you to be my Alvida's man." "What? Asuma, are you out of your mind? Hit you, you still want to be your man? Just now, I thought that even if the reward was worse, it would be no worse than a shit beast. Sorry, can I take this sentence back now?" Not waiting for Asuma to answer Alvida. Hearing that someone was going to compete with him for Asuma, the fecal beast rushed in from the door and declared its sovereignty, "Stinky woman, how dare you have such evil thoughts on my master? Don't be delusional." Alvida snorted, "The man I'm looking for, it's not up to you, a shit-like monster, to get in the way." The fecal beast took out a ball of feces and turned into a guardian madman. "Believe it or not, I will let you taste the power of feces now. Believe it or not, I will smash you to pieces with a stick first." Alvida walked towards the shit beast with a mace. Asuma heard it and was about to cry without tears. If it were normal times, and there were two women who were jealous of him, then he would definitely be overjoyed. But today's situation made him only want to die. What is this? A super disgusting shit beast, a super ugly female pirate. These two are fighting for their own jealousy here, and it is impossible to describe in words how much WC they are in their hearts at the moment. My trademark mentality is broken. Hyuga Hayashi, who always thought he was unlucky, suddenly felt that his luck was so good. Check out Asuma. Take another look at yourself. What else is missing? At this time, a faint voice sounded. A comic store is a place to read comics. What do you think of this place? Shen Ye slowly put down the teacup. Suddenly, eyes opened suddenly. In an instant, a vast coercion erupted as if the ocean was rewinding and the sky was collapsing, filling the entire comic store. Chapter 0036. Goo. This coercion suddenly came, and all the customers in the comic shop were shocked, and immediately swallowed hard. They instantly felt that they were as insignificant as ants and dust in front of this power. It seems that their life and death no longer belong to them, but in Shen Ye's palm. As long as Shen Ye thought about it, they would die like ants and dust, and they didn't even have the qualifications to resist. Fear swept through their hearts like a frenzy in an instant. Could it be that this is the strength of the owner of this comic shop? At the same time, the three Asuma were hit hard by an invisible force, blood spurted from their mouths, and flew out of the comic shop. Shen Ye said flatly, "A little punishment, and next time, it won't stop there." Shen Ye's words were very calm, and he couldn't hear any emotional ups and downs. But it was a deterrent to comic shop patrons. Everyone looked at each other and could see the fear in each other's eyes. Asuma's strength is in the front row even among Konoha Jainin, and he once served as the guardian ninja of the daimyo of the Kingdom of Fire. That is the important task of protecting the head of a country, and it cannot be undertaken by the elites of Jainin. But even with a strength as strong as Asuma, he couldn't stop a look in front of Shen Ye. One look crushes elite Jainin. I am afraid that no one in the ninja world can do this. Not to mention today, even with the resurrection of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, the gods of the ninja world, there is no such possibility. This guy. Asuma gritted his teeth, endured the severe pain all over his body, and slowly got up from the ground. Looking at Shen Ye, his eyes were full of shock. Is he so strong? Make yourself unable to resist with just one look? Such a strength gap is too big, and it is too big to measure. Hyuga Hayashi's eyes are deep. Shen Ye's ability to open such a comic shop is of course an unfathomable existence. Such existence will naturally not allow anyone to mess around in his shop. Asuma really offended someone who shouldn't have offended this time, so he could only admit that he was unlucky. Hanabi said excitedly, "Sister, Shen Ye-kun is so strong." Hinata nodded. She had long known that Shen Ye's strength was strong, but she didn't expect to be so strong. At the same time, it also strengthened her determination to become stronger. If he is not strong enough, how can he be worthy of Shen Ye-kun? Yakushi Kabuto pushed the glasses on the bridge of his nose. He felt that he already knew that people like Third Hokage and Danzo who did not allow any instability in Konoha, why did they not take any action against the comic shop? Probably because they didn't dare to offend the owner of this comic shop. He felt that the news had to reach Orochimaru. Orochimaru will soon join forces with Tsunade to launch an operation to destroy Konoha. And having such a terrifying figure in Konoha will undoubtedly make a huge difference in Orochimaru's plans. Asuma wiped blood from the corner of his mouth. Although he was very angry, when he thought of Shen Ye's terrifying strength, he could only endure it. What else could it be? Do you rush to die for the sake of face? As a ninja, he has already worn away the impulsive edges and corners of young people. He suddenly laughed to himself. I used to think that Shen Ye was just an ordinary person. Thinking about how much stronger than Shen Ye with his own strength and identity. Why did Hong Yui reject herself? Now that I think about it, everything is clear. I even thought I was a little funny at that time. Asuma didn't say anything, got up and left the manga shop. Asuma was gone, and Alvida and the shit beast didn't dare to provoke Shen Ye, so they followed in despair. They are not stupid at all. They know very well who to provoke and what not to provoke. At this time, the poop beast whispered to Alvida, actually, we can live together too. Alvida agreed, I don't mind. Hey, then the master will belong to the two of us. I have to see if he can satisfy me first. Hey, I can't stand what you said. Then, today. Yet. Listening to the increasingly inaudible conversation between Stool Beast and Alvida, Asuma, who was walking with his head down, suddenly felt that his life was dark. What, you two still want to use force? RBQ, slipped away. If Lao Zi can't be provoked, can't he hide? Asuma got up and ran. Master, don't leave me behind. How could the man I liked by Alvida let you escape? Seeing Asuma running away, Shit Beast and Alvida immediately caught up. Asuma is really attractive. Hyuga Hayashi sighed while watching Asuma flee from the manga store. Hanabi pursed his lips and said, although he is so embarrassed, the way he runs away looks like love. Yakushi Kabuto couldn't help but start praying in his heart. But don't give me this kind of reward, I can't bear it. Although as a spy, the most important thing is psychological quality. However, in the face of this kind of reward, no matter how good the psychological quality is, it can't bear it. Soon, Yakushi Kabuto finished reading the manga. Customer Yakushi Kabuto has finished reading Cut. Crimson Eye, Get, Dimensional Array, Shangri-La. Dimensional Array Shangri-La, Space System Tegu, which can instantly move the target in the phalanx to the designated position, but it requires huge energy consumption and cannot be activated continuously. Yakushi Kabuto's reward is good. Shen Ye looked at the information. Dimensional Array, Shangri-La can teleport the target to any designated location, which is equivalent to a small directional teleportation array. Whether it's a lifesaver or a sneak attack, it's all excellent. The only downside is that it takes days to activate a cooldown. But if this is not the case, this Taigu is simply a bug. Yakushi Kabuto asked Shen Ye with an uneasy mood, Boss, my reward. Shen Ye smiled, don't be afraid, it's not Asuma's kind. Hearing this, Yakushi Kabuto breathed a sigh of relief. As long as it's not that kind of reward, it doesn't matter what it is. A ray of light descended and fell on Yakushi Kabuto's hand. When the light gradually dissipated, it turned into a metal object in the shape of 8 trigrams. Yakushi Kabuto shuddered. He recognized at a glance that this was Sheila's Emperor, the dimensional square, Shangri-La. A powerful emperor with teleportation ability. Unexpectedly, I can actually get this piece of Tiako that can rank among the top of the Tiako. Yakushi Kabuto put the Taigu away and smiled at Shen Ye, thank you boss, this is a very powerful Taigu. Having seen the tip of Shen Ye's iceberg, he already had an involuntary fear of Shen Ye. Shen Ye said, what reward you get depends on your own luck. Yakushi Kabuto smiled and left the manga shop. Chapter 0037. After walking out of the manga store, Yakushi Kabuto changed his expression, cold and without the slightest smile. Yakushi Kabuto picked a place and experimented. It was confirmed that there is no problem with this dimensional square, Shangri-La Taijin, and it really has the ability to teleport in space. Yakushi Kabuto made a seal with his hands, and a hazy water curtain appeared in front of him. A man with long black hair with a pale face and dark golden snake eyes appeared in the water curtain. The middle-aged man had a chilling hoarseness in his voice, and said slowly, Kabuto, I should have told you, if it's not a very important thing, don't contact me in this way. Yakushi Kabuto pushed his glasses and said seriously, Master Orochimaru, I believe that this matter is more important than you can imagine, and you would very much like to know it as soon as possible. Tell me. Hearing this, Orochimaru showed interest in his eyes. He knew that Yakushi Kabuto dared not lie to himself. If Yakushi Kabuto can say that, then I'm afraid it's really interesting. Yakushi Kabuto said, a manga store appeared in Konoha yesterday, and you can get a random reward from the manga just by reading the manga in the store. Orochimaru leaned forward slightly. It was the first time he had heard of such a thing, and his interest was instantly hooked. Yakushi Kabuto took out the dimensional square Shangri-La that he got, and said, this is the emperor I got, called the dimensional square Shangri-La, which can instantly teleport the target to the designated teleportation location, and the target can be up to dozens of personnel. Orochimaru was really moved. You said, this thing can teleport in space. No wonder Orochimaru was so surprised. Get rid of summoning technique, an all too common space summoning technique. Space ninjutsu such as Konoha's Flying Thunder God technique and Cloud Shinobi's Tian Shao technique are basically top secrets in each village. The number is rare, it is difficult to practice, and there are many restrictions. The Flying Thunder God technique can only teleport to the marked target, with only 1 or 2 people at a time. The Tian Shao technique cannot transmit the caster, and the person being transmitted cannot bear it. However, Yakushi Kabuto said that the Taigu named Dimensional Array, Shangri-La was able to transmit dozens of people at the same time, which surprised him. At the same time, this changed his original plan to destroy Konoha. He contacts Tsunade, the Land of Wind, and prepares to join forces with 4th Kazekage to take action against Konoha in the Chunin exam. The reason for choosing that time is because Konoha has a huge perception formation covering the entire Konoha. Anyone who is not from the village entering Konoha will trigger an alarm and have nowhere to hide. Konoha will take action immediately. Only with the Chunin exam, Sand Shinobi ninjas can enter Konoha as a CO organizer. But if you have this Taigu, you can first transmit the elites into Konoha village, launch an attack from the inside out, and take Konoha by surprise. Then the main force outside attacked from all directions at this time, attacking from inside and outside. This is much more effective than his set of Sand Shinobi's reversal in the 3rd exam, disguising himself as 4th Kazekage to assassinate Sarutobi Hiruzen. Orochimaru suddenly asked, who owns that manga shop? Old man Sarutobi and Danzo should not tolerate such a comic shop, open to everyone. What they like most is to keep all power firmly in their own hands. The owner of the comic shop is named Shen Ye. Yakushi Kabuto said, not a ninja, but his strength is unfathomable. Just one look completely crushed Asuma. I suspect he might even be able to kill Asuma just by looking. What did you say? A look of shock appeared on Orochimaru's face. What are you kidding? Killing an elite Genin with just one look? Moreover, he had never received any intelligence about the name Shen Ye before. Konoha actually hides such a mysterious existence, which is a big variable to his plan to destroy Konoha. Yakushi Kabuto said, this is what I saw with my own eyes, it was really just a look. Orochimaru was silent for a moment, as if it was still difficult to digest the news, and after a while he said, I see, I'll go to Konoha in person. I also want to try that comic shop myself. Yes. Yakushi Kabuto nodded. End contact with Orochimaru, and the water curtain dissipates. Inside Orochimaru's experimental base. Dim lighting. There was a faint sound of mourning. You can get the ability from the comics by reading the comics. One look can defeat Asuma. Shen Ye? Who are you? Orochimaru sat on the chair, leaning his cheek in one hand. Under the dim yellow light, the pair of dark golden snake pupils looked extremely deep. It is so deep that it seems to lead to the yellow spring. After a long time, the corner of Orochimaru's mouth raised a radian, and said, I haven't been so excited for a long time, hehe, I really want to go to that comic shop right now. At this time, a figure emerged from the darkness. Master Orochimaru, please let me accompany you if you are going to Konoha. Orochimaru looked at the boy with white hair and a morbid face, and said, Kimimaro, it's better for your body to stay here and rest. In order to maintain his immortality, he needs to use forbidden technique living corpse reincarnation, a new body every few years. To this end, he collects genius ninjas from all over the world as his container. Kagaya Kimimaro is one of the best. The Huayuryuaki clan used to be a powerful clan in the world of ninjas, with the blood following the limit, dead bone pulse. The clansmen are all addicted to war, almost insane, so they are feared by the world. For some reason, the Terayuryuaki clan eventually rebelled and attacked Kirigakuer. As a result, the Huayuryuaki tribe was defeated by Kirigakuer and slaughtered. Kimimaro, the only survivor of the Terayuryuaki clan, was rescued by Orochimaru and followed under his command. Kimimaro not only inherited the purest dead bone pulse of the Huayuryuaki family, but also has a strong talent for cultivation, and already has Jainin level strength at the age of 15. It's a pity that Kimimaro was born with a terminal illness, which cannot be cured and will not last long. This forced him to give up occupying Kimimaro's body. Kimimaro said, "I'm in good shape recently, no problem." Orochimaru thought about it and nodded, "All right, you can go with me." Konoha. Orochimaru smiled and said, "I haven't been back for a long time, I miss it a bit." Chapter 0038. Inside a comic shop, Hyuga Hayashi closed the Shinigami manga, still thinking about it in his mind. Although Shinigami is not as entwined with grievances as Tianlong Babu, it reflects the blood and fetters vividly. Seeing that his blood was boiling, he regained some of the feeling of his youth. Looking back, Hyuga Hayashi began to look forward to his reward. Yesterday I got a yin-yang Hisan, which is very unreliable. I hope I can have a good luck today. Customer Hyuga Hayashi has finished reading Shinigami Soul Society and obtained, Female Shinigami Inflatable Body, Female Shinigami Inflatable Skeleton, one of Urahara Kisuke's inventions, a skeleton that can be quickly inflated like a balloon, and is mostly used as a stand-in in battle. Female Shinigami Inflatable Body. Shen Ye was dumbfounded. Hyuga Hayashi's luck is not much better than Asuma's. A brilliance fell on Hyuga Hayashi's palm. Hyuga Hayashi has hot eyes. The light dissipated, revealing a small thing resembling a white pill. Hyuga Hayashi asked happily, "Boss, what is this? Is it the kind of elixir that can improve your strength if you eat it? Are you looking at martial arts? Where in the world of Shinigami is there any elixir that can improve strength after eating?" Shen Ye groaned inwardly, and said to Hyuga Hayashi, "Inflatable skeletons, as long as you put them on your lips, you can instantly become a skeleton substitute. Just a reminder. This is a female Shinigami inflatable body." Hyuga Hayashi has a weird expression, blow-up doll. Shen Ye thought for a while, and said solemnly, "It feels better than that. How can it be repaired, isn't it still an inflatable doll?" Hyuga Hayashi's heart started to go crazy. Got a bottle of S*X pills yesterday and an inflatable doll today. Odd God! Am I going to a comic store or an adult products store? My tears can't stop flowing down. Hyuga Hayashi sighed helplessly, and finally put the white pill into his clothes and put it together with the other pills. Anyway, that's a reward anyway. Just spend 10,000 taels to buy an inflatable doll, which is really a bit big. The other side, Hinata and Hanabi are still watching Doppo manga with gusto. The protagonist Xiao Yanjin meets Yunyun in the Warcraft Mountains, rushes into the desert to win the heart of Qinglian, and takes part in the Jiama Empire refining Yakushi contest to win the championship. One after another, the plots of the two sisters are addicted. Finally, the plot of the comic has reached its most critical moment. 3 years of hard work. 3 years of blood and tears. No one knows how much he, Xiao Yan, suffered unimaginably in the past 3 years, just for this battle. Now, he Xiao Yan is here. Come to Yunlanzong, go to the 3-year appointment of that year. Xiao Yan stepped onto the battle arena witnessed by countless people, with a black ruler in his hand, looking at the girl in front of the Xiao family who broke off their marriage 3 years ago, and said indifferently, "Xiao family Xiao Yan, come to fight." The youth's words echoed throughout the audience. Then, it's a row of small print, the manga is not finished, so stay tuned. Ah! It's broken again in the most exciting place. Hanabi looked at the comics that stopped as soon as they arrived at the highest court, and said angrily, "Why is it like the pirates again, when the protagonist Shang Yun Langzong is gone at such a critical moment? So many foreshadowings before have obviously been strung together. The connection between Yun King Yun and the protagonist in the Warcraft Mountains. The protagonist uses Yang Xiao's pseudonym as Grandpa Yanran to treat her illness. Yanran has a crush on the protagonist, but she can't imagine that Yang Xiao is the waste of the Xiao family she once broke off. No one can imagine that the waste of the year has grown to the point where even the chief disciple of Yunlanzong can't catch up. These are going to explode. As a result, it broke. Ah! I want to update, I want to update. Hanabi is cute and cute. Even Hinata felt that this feeling was unprecedentedly uncomfortable. After so much foreshadowing, the funniest plot finally started, but the result was gone. Who is not uncomfortable to change? Hanabi looked at Shen Ye pitifully. Shen Ye-kun, is there a second part? I seem to see it. Shen Ye shrugged and said there was no way, not yet. Why are these writers so unscrupulous, but they stop at the most critical point? This feeling is so depressing. Hanabi pouted with his ivory-like calves wandering around. Shen Ye looked at the depressed little loli and smiled knowingly. You only broke twice like this? Do you know what it felt like when those web writers in the previous life gave you chapters and chapters? And those who are simply eunuchs, just wanting to die. They don't need to write online articles, just the blades sent by readers in the cellar are enough to live. At this time, refresh 2 system information in a row. Customer Hyuga Hinata has finished reading Dupo Part 1 and obtained, Qinglian Earth Heart Fire. Qinglian Earth Heart Fire, different firewood expulsion is the 19th strange fire, and it is also the first strange fire conquered by the protagonist Xiao Yan. It is a flame born in the depths of the lava in the core of the earth. It has undergone countless times of tempering, fusion, compression, and carving by the fire of the earth. 10 years into a spirit, 100 years into a lotus, and 1,000 years into a lotus. When it was completed, its color was blue, and a cluster of green fire was born in the lotus heart, which was called Qinglian Earth Heart Fire. The power of this fire is unpredictable, and it can even cause volcanic eruptions near the volcanic area, forming the destructive force of nature. Customer Hyuga Hanabi has finished reading Dupo Part 1, and obtained, Chakra version, Fighting Wings. Chakra version, Fighting Chi into wings. Once a fighter reaches the realm of Do Wang, he can transform his fighting chi into his wings, get rid of the earth, and soar above the sky. This ability has been systematically modified, and chakra can also be turned into wings, and has the ability to attack and defend. As soon as you come up, you get a strange fire. Little Hinata, this luck. This chakra wing from Hanabi is also good. The ability to fly in the world of Hokage is rare. The luck of the two of them, I am afraid that they will use all Hyuga Hyashis. Looking at the rewards from Hinata and Hanabi, even Shen Ye couldn't help but sigh. These two are the emperors of Europe. This luck, burst Hyuga Hayashi dozens of streets. Hyuga Hayashi has already read Shinigami manga, but he can only get the reward of female Shinigami inflatable corpse. Hum hum. 2 rays of light fell on Hinata and Hanabi at the same time. Hinata grunted, a thin layer of sweat on her forehead. She felt an unusually fiery violent energy pouring into her body. It was like being in a boundless sea of flames. Vaguely, she saw the sea of fire slowly separate, and a cyan fire lotus emerged. The blue fire lotus blooms slowly. The endless sea of fire worships and surrenders to it. Suddenly, a cyan column of fire rushed up from the fire lotus. Straight into the sky, burning the sky. There is a kind of haki that burns the mountains and refines the sea. This is... Hinata's pupils shuddered violently. She has already guessed what this azure fire lotus is. Qinglian Earth Heart Fire. That strange fire that Xiao Yan got through hard work. Chapter 0039. Hinata was pleasantly surprised. You must know that the strange fire is a rare and wonderful thing that combines the power of heaven and earth. Enough to make Dohuang powerhouses fight to the death for it. Even an alchemist like Gu He, who invited the various Do Kings and even Do Huang of the Jiama Empire to come forward, was ultimately unable to get what he wanted. Did you get it by yourself? On the other hand, Hanabi also finished the chakra version of Do Chi Hua Wing. Still drawing circles there, depressing how lucky he was, Hyuga Hayashi saw that the 2 daughters had been rewarded and asked, what abilities did you 2 get? Chakra wings. Hanabi laughed. Chakra wing, what is that? Hyuga Hayashi was stunned. That's it. Hanabi came outside the manga shop, 2 strands of blue chakra stretched out behind him. Wow, a flash of light. Transform into 2 lifelike wings of chakra. Hyuga Hayashi was shocked. For similar abilities, he has only seen the Akamichi clan perform it, which is the ultimate secret technique of the Akamichi clan. However, Hanabi's chakra wings are obviously more solid than the Akamika's secret art, almost like real existence. Wow! The wings of chakra behind Hanabi trembled, and they soared straight into the sky. Little Loli smiled. This feeling of being able to fly freely is indescribably refreshing. Hanabi was flying in the sky, swooping, levitating, and said to Hyuga Hayashi, "How is it, father? Chakra wings can not only fly, but can also be manipulated at will, as a means of offense or defense." This. Hyuga Hayashi was stunned. Chakra transforms into the flying ability of wings, can it attack and defend? Is this too strong? Hanabi already got Garp's armament Haki, and even he is ashamed of hard power. If you add the chakra wings, the flexibility is also suddenly improved. Nothing else, just having these two rewards is enough to traverse the ninja world. Hyuga Hayashi was full of envy in his heart. Hanabi is lucky. But why do I feel distressed when I think of this incident? Can't think. Tears will come out again. Hyuga Hayashi looked at Hinata again and asked, "Hinata, what is your reward?" After thinking about it, Hyuga Hayashi comforted Hinata and said, "It's okay, even if your reward is not as good as Hanabi's, but as long as it is useful to yourself, no matter what ability you have, you still have to practice on your own. I don't know if Hanabi is better, but I like it." Hinata's slender hands spread out, and a cluster of cyan flames emerged from the palm of his hand. The cyan flame slowly rose, vaguely transformed into the shape of a lotus flower. When the flames appeared, the temperature of the surrounding space also increased sharply. As if facing not a cluster of small flames, but a boiling and violent active volcano. What a terrible flame! Seeing King Leon's fire, Hyuga Hayashi's pupil shrank. He actually felt an extremely dangerous feeling from this cluster of blue flames. It seems that this is something taboo, as long as it is touched, it will turn into ashes. Hyuga Hayashi looked at Hinata dully and said, "Hinata, this is..." Hinata explained, "This is called Qinglian geocentric fire, a strange fire that was born in the underground lava. It takes at least 1,000 years of tempering to form a lotus shape. Not only is it powerful, it can also trigger volcanic eruptions." Wait, what is a strange fire? Different fire is the creation of heaven and earth in the Do Soul world. Each of them is extraordinary and has the power to burn mountains and boil the sea. Hinata took out a kunao and threw it up, flicking her fingers at the same time. A strand of Qinglian earth heart fire, as thin as a hair, hit kunao. With a chi-la sound, the kunao made of fine iron instantly turned into a pool of crimson molten iron in the flames and fell. Kunao melted instantly. Hyuga Hayashi couldn't help showing a shocked expression when he saw that kunao turned into molten iron in front of this blue flame. How hot is this? This Qinglian earth heart fire is too terrifying, isn't it? If this flame falls on a person. Thinking of this, Hyuga Hayashi couldn't help but shudder. I'm afraid that people will be burned to the point where not even ashes remain. Hinata's reward is stronger than Hanabi's chakra wing. Wait, I seem to be comforting Hinata just now? There is no reason for this. Who gave African Emirates the confidence to actually dare to comfort others? Oh, Yu Huang. The heart is too big. Hyuga Hayashi looked at Hinata and looked at Hanabi. The rewards for the two daughters are so powerful, how can they be so weak? However, he was happier that his two daughters could receive such a good reward. The revival of the Hyuga family is promising. Yes, the rewards for both of you are very good. Hyuga Hayashi laughed happily. Forget it, as long as your daughter's reward is good, it doesn't matter if you have bad luck every time. Hanabi suddenly asked curiously, "Father, what is your reward?" When asked about the sore spot, Hyuga Hayashi said carelessly, "Nothing, a useless skill." My father said the same thing last time. Hanabi said, "Then you show it too. What's the use of your rewards?" Hyuga Hayashi looked at the son and said, "Well, your mother asked us to go back for lunch early, and we'll show it another day." Saying that, Hyuga Hayashi said goodbye and left quickly. Demonstration? AXXOO medicine, an inflatable doll, how do you demonstrate it? Shen Ye-kun, let's go. Hinata blushed and bowed to Shen Ye. Hanabi made a playful face and said, "Shen Ye-kun, if there is a sequel to One Piece and Dopo, be sure to greet me. Do not worry." Shen Ye take a moment. Sisters Hinata and Hanabi also left. As soon as Shen Ye saw Noon, he ordered an outside of Yul Ramen. Ichiro Ramen is not far from the manga store. Shen Ye often eats at Yul Ramen, and is very familiar with Uncle Yul. After Shen Ye ordered the ramen, Ye smiled and said, "You go back first, and I'll ask Ayam to deliver the ramen to you later." Shen Ye went back to the comic shop. Not long after, Yul's daughter, Chang Pu, walked into the comic shop with a ramen with rich side dishes and said with a very friendly smile, "Shen Ye, your ramen." Saying that, Iris looked towards the comic shop. "You have quite a lot of customers here, by the way." Calamus quietly approached Shen Ye and said in a low voice, "I heard that if you read the comics here, you can still get the things in the comics? Is it true?" "Of course." Shen Ye smiled and said, "How about it, do you want to read one?" Chang Pu stuck out her tongue, 5,000 taels, you have to sell many bowls of ramen to earn it. At this time, a joke sounded from far to near. "Really, boss? Don't you know how to pity Xiangziyu for such a beautiful beauty to read comics?" Chapter 0040. Ayam turned her head when she heard the voice, and said in surprise, "It's Sister Enko." Wearing a beige trench coat, Mitarashi Enko has a casual smile on his face. The black mesh inside the windbreaker seemed to be unable to wrap the pair of ferocious creatures and could break free at any time. In terms of strength, Enko is just a special Jainin, not ranked in Konoha. But when it comes to being able to eat, or knowing how to eat, Enko says it's the second, and even the Akamichi family can't say they're the first. Konoha gourmet shops large and small are familiar with Enko. No one knows how Enko's slender body can hold so much food. Enko blinked, put his arms around the Calamus willow waist, and said to Shen Ye, "Little Shen Ye, this is your fault. With a beauty like Calamus, how many men can't talk if they want to talk, why are you pushing the opportunity out?" Calamus blushed and hurriedly said, "Sister Enko, don't talk nonsense. Where is it?" Enko teased, "Our little Shen Ye doesn't have a girlfriend, and you don't have a boyfriend, how about it? Do you want me to help you two meet on a date?" "I won't tell you." Ayam blushed by Enko's words and escaped from the comic shop. Seeing this, Shen Ye said helplessly, "You guy, Calamus is very shy." Enko pretended to be dissatisfied and leaned on Shen Ye. The pair squeezed into Shen Ye's hands and almost engulfed their arms, humming, "What do you call this guy? You want to be called Sister Enko? Really, why do you treat me and Hong the Gap so big? Aren't you worried that I will be jealous?" Red Ui and Enko are best friends. Shen Ye and Hong are often together, and they are familiar with Enko. Enko has a free and unrestrained personality, and even often jokes with Shen Ye that are a bit out of bounds. Of course, this is only with Shen Ye. She just said to tease the serious Shen Ye like this. It's funny to see Shen Ye being embarrassed. Seeing Enko leaning forward, Shen Ye put his arms around Enko's waist and pulled him closer to him. Even his breathing became clear. "If you play with fire like this again, I can't guarantee that the fire won't burn you." Enko's pretty face flushed red, until the base of his ears, and he still hummed, "I'm afraid of you." Although the mouth is still hard, but the body is still a little scared. She only dared to joke with Shen Ye, she really didn't dare to come. It was also because of this discovery that Shen Ye often used this move to fight back against Enko. Enko sniffed suddenly, smelled the aroma of ramen, and flexibly emerged from Shen Ye's arms like a snake and came to Ra on the table. Looking at the rich variety of ingredients on the ramen, Enko's saliva is drooling. "Wow! Such a rich ramen, it looks delicious. You eat less, be careful that you won't be able to marry if you get fat." Shen Ye thought of Enko's look in the future that makes men not want to work hard, and couldn't help but understand. "It's good if you can't marry." Enko took a mouthful of ramen with satisfaction, turned his head and said with a smile, "Then I'll stay at your house." "Then why don't you come now? I'm afraid Hong will be jealous." Enko's tongue swept across his lips enchantingly, and said, "How about we try it? If it's you, I can." Shen Ye shook his head. This guy Enko was talking again, forgetting that he was like a little white rabbit just now. Enko took a few bites and said with satisfaction, "As expected, Yul's ramen is the most authentic. By the way, is there any good comics? It's all on the bookshelf." Shen Ye started eating the ramen and pointed his chopsticks. "Velvet pattern? Xiao Shen Ye, you still enter this kind of comics, do you often read them at night? Is this One Piece, East Blue a food manga? Why is this guy in a straw hat on the cover holding such a big piece of meat?" Enko looked at it, and finally selected Do Sol, Part 1, "This book looks good." Shen Ye said, "The first time was 5,000 taels, and I could only read one book a day, and the price doubled every time after that. Fortunately, your sister Enko has just done a mission and hasn't had time to eat meatballs, otherwise I'm afraid I won't look down on your comics." Anko made a joke, paid 5,000 taels, picked up the Dopo comic and sat next to Shen Ye to read. Shen Ye looked at Anko holding a cartoon, but still glanced at his own ramen from time to time, and asked knowingly, "What are you doing?" "I haven't finished eating yet." "You can have another bowl." "I don't, I'm going to have a bowl with you." Shen Ye was speechless. Anko leaned back against Shen Ye to read comics, and from time to time came to grab a bite of Shen Ye's ramen. These Konoha shinobi people in the manga shop are heartbroken. This NM. I am a good single dog, whoever provokes me. If you read a comic, you have to be sprinkled with dog food. Take it away. Laozi do not eat. Wang. Old, boss. Ebisu, with 2 dark circles under his eyes, floated to the comic shop like a ghost. Seeing Ebisu, Anko was taken aback. "Ebisu, are you sick? Are you so sick?" Shen Ye also raised his brows with a strange expression. "You seem to have smoked the original fat of Queen Belial yesterday, right? Lose weight in one night? What level of imagination and combat power is this?" Ebisu walked vainly, his legs seemed to be no longer his own, and said to Anko, "Anko, I'm fine, I just came to see if there are any manga." With that said, he turned to Shen Ye. With an expectant face that lacks nutrition, he asked, "Boss, do you have any new comics?" Shen Ye said sincerely, "Can you stand it?" In order to prove herself, Ebisu raised an orchid finger. I can." Shen Ye, "Not what I said. No matter how I look at you, you don't look like a Yuzi who can stand it." Shen Ye coughed and said, "If you can stand it, I have a new book of velvet patterns here. Better than Sailor Moon. Bring, well, you know. Nanny." Hearing this, Ebisu's eyes lit up, his nostrils blew, and his whole body glowed like chicken blood, and said, "Where is it? I want to see it." "Anko, is this the power of the legendary spiritual food?" Shen Ye pointed, "It's on the bookshelf." Ebisu quickly put down 10,000 taels and went straight to the bookshelf. Anko clicked his tongue, "Is he dead?" "Maybe." Shen Ye finished the ramen and opened the gift box from Hinata. There are several crystal jars neatly placed inside, with delicate bows and fine black tea. "Wow, so beautiful." Anko teased, "Which beauty sent it?" "Hinata." "Hinata is only 14 years old and you can't let it go. I really want to put something in your mouth." Shen Ye said. Anko was stunned when he heard the words, and immediately blushed, "You are too yellow, I hate it." Shen Ye, he wanted to express it. "Beauty, you are thinking crooked, I really just mean it literally. You don't even think about what you put in your mouth in the past." Chapter 0041. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ebisu opened Velvet Pattern, and only the first chapter made him emotional. If it wasn't for the comics that he couldn't take away, he would like to take it home and read it now. Take a good look at the esoteric course on the mysteries of the origin of life. Ebisu continued to look at it, and the more she looked, the more excited she became. One hand was so excited that there was nowhere to put it, he was cruising, and suddenly he didn't know what he touched, so he rubbed it. A strong bearded man next to him turned his head at once. Ebisu was so frightened that he retracted his hand. Sorry, it's not because of me." Who knew that the bearded strong man's eyes gradually blurred, with a coquettish expression, "Hand, don't stop." "I see. Long live." Ebisu immediately felt cold all over, and hurriedly carried the comic to the corner, looking at it shiveringly. At this time, Shen Ye looked at the system interface. Host, Shen Ye comic, cut. Crimson Eyes, Sailor Moon, Part 1, Dragon Babu, Digimon, Part 1, Velvet Kiss, One Piece, East Blue Arc, Shinigami Soul Society Arc, Double, Part 1 Extraction, receive 10 customers can extract a comic book, received, 10/10 people, can extract, one-time task, accumulate 50 customers, get a mysterious reward, received, 39/50 people. Just now Ebisu directly made the system meet the lottery conditions. Shen Ye said to the system, draw comics. Start extracting, extract from the comic. This brave man is obviously super strong, but he is too cautious. This brave man is obviously super strong but overly cautious. The hero Ryogan Seiya, who was summoned by the goddess of healing, Liz Dada, is obviously a super powerful person, but he is always too cautious in doing things, and he has even been cautious to the point of morbidity. It turned out that he once had the experience of being summoned by a god, but because of his insufficient preparation, the mission failed, and his lover and unborn child were killed by the devil. When he was summoned again, although Ryugen had lost the memory of his previous life, all of this was deeply imprinted in his soul, making his character extremely cautious. With such caution, Ryugen embarks on a journey to defeat the Demon King again. Careful hero. Shen Ye smiled. This is a new comic that appeared not long before he passed through his previous life. The animation was on fire for a while. The male protagonist is a cautious madman who has to use a series of skills against a leave one scumbag slime. Unlike other comics, the heroine is a funny setting who is keen to rant about the male protagonist. All in all, it's a very funny comic. The worldview is not bad either. There is the world of the main god that can summon heroes, and the world of countless quests. There are also many good things. Shen Ye put the comics on the bookshelf. At this time, Chapter 32 of Velvet Pattern was quickly read by Ebisu. Ebisu didn't want to watch it so quickly. A good thing, it must be tasted, and it must be carefully tasted. But I can't stand the bearded strong man behind him waiting for you to tease him, so it's better to leave after reading it. System Information Update. Customer Ebisu has finished reading Velvet Pattern and obtained Dell Laptop with Treasures. Dell Laptop with Treasures. It was originally just an ordinary Dell laptop, but because of the memory, the 500G high-definition action movies starring dozens of excellent stars such as Mr. Hatano and Mr. Yoshizawa were called treasures. The system warmly reminds you that the small L is happy, the big L hurts the body, and the strong L disappears. 500G. Shen Ye looked at the reward information, and then looked at Ebisu, who had dark circles around his eyes. An original fat time can make Ebisu like this. He was really worried that with this 500G high-definition movie, there would be no Ebisu tomorrow. At this moment, a bright light fell on the table. Ebisu swallowed. Even the small round sunglasses can't seem to block the pair of wolf-like eyes behind. The light fades away, a silver-grey laptop is revealed. Seeing this, Ebisu said in surprise, "Boss, what is this?" "It's called a laptop." Shen Ye turned on the computer, clicked on some software to demonstrate, and said, "It's fine for work and entertainment." It turned out to be a high-tech product. Ebisu nodded in understanding. Shen Ye said, "Of course, there are also hundreds of movies with poses installed in this computer, all of which are in the folder of the postgraduate entrance examination materials. You can see it when you go home." Ebisu raised his brows. "Does it look good?" Shen Ye said, "It was played by a real person, do you think it looks good?" His Ebisu sucked in a breath of cold air, his heart beating like a king's engine. He closed the laptop, and said with a serious face, "This is really a good helper for work. I'll accept it." Ebisu lifted the laptop excitedly. Shen Ye reminded, "You take it easy." Ebisu patted the chest and said to himself, "Don't worry, as a ninja, the most important thing is to restrain yourself, and I have never lacked this." There was booze all around. Ebisu coughed and walked out of the manga shop with his laptop. "What exactly is in here?" Ebisu, who had just walked out of the comic store, soon couldn't hold back the little beast in his heart. Crouching on the side of the street, looking at the street, no one seems to be paying attention to him. With a wretched smile, he opened the folder named Postgraduate Entrance Examination Materials. It is full of more than 200 videos. Otherworld's technology is really amazing. Ebisu said, moving the mouse arrow to one of the videos and double-clicking to open it. Video opens. Inside, there is Mr. Hatano, known as the first sister of the Dark World. Hatano-sensei plays a tutor in the movie. Under her perseverance, the male student finally Inkya butterfly. The computer suddenly made a harmonious sound at its loudest. Pedestrians on the street were shocked, and they all turned their attention to the direction of the sound. Ebisu hurriedly shut down the computer. When no one was paying attention, Ebisu let out a long sigh of relief. At the same time, the eyes behind the small sunglasses burst into light. Is there such a beautiful thing? Moreover, there are more than 200 such good-looking movies? OMG, I posted it. I feel Geo at this moment, I have stepped on the world under my feet. Ebisu came to a supermarket excitedly holding his laptop. The supermarket owner smiled and said, "What do you need?" Ebisu thought for a while and said, "That. Bring me 100 bottles of milk, 100 sausages, 200 eggs, and 30 jars of protein powder, and send them to number 32 Boulevard Street. This, so much. The supermarket owner was stunned. Ebisu pushed on the small round sunglasses and said seriously, I urgently need to supplement nutrition, and there will be a very difficult task waiting for me next. Hearing this, the supermarket owner flashed tears in his eyes and said with awe, thank you for everything you have done for Konoha, I will personally sponsor you another 10 bags of wolfberry. Thank you, boss. You're welcome. Call me by my name, Peppa. Okay boss, thank you boss. Chapter 0042. Watching Yebiso leave with a high-spirited laptop in his arms, Anko asked curiously, Little Shen Ye, what kind of laptop was Ebisu's drawing just now? What's in it? He's so excited. Shen Ye drank black tea and said lightly, it's not suitable for children. Cut. Anko straightened up and hummed, who are you calling a child? Shen Ye took a look. Well, it's huge. Anko suddenly got close and asked in a low voice, who is older than the red one? Shen Ye squinted his eyes, my eyesight is not very good, but my hands are okay, why don't I try? You've turned bad. Anko's cheeks flushed, and he turned to continue reading the manga. At this time, 3 figures walked into the comic shop. Seeing the 3, Anko's pretty face suddenly changed, why is this old guy here? The old man at the head is none other than Danzo. The 2 root members next to him, one is the Yamanaka Wind from the Yamanaka family, and the other is the Aberme root from the Aberme family, both of whom are powerful subordinates around Danzo. A visitor is a guest, as long as they spend money, they are a guest of the comic shop. Shen Ye sat leisurely on the chair and said to Danzo, do you want to read the comics? Yes. Danzo took a deep look at Shen Ye, paid 15,000 taels, and said hoarsely, please suggest some books to us. Danzo's surface is still as deep, but the thoughts in his mind are already spinning rapidly. Is this the owner of this mysterious comic shop? It looks like a young man with nothing special, but is he really a strong man that even Hiruzen is afraid of? For a time, countless questions flooded into Danzo's mind. Shen Ye waved his hand, the comics are all there, read the introduction yourself. Danzo said nothing and came to the bookshelf. Looking around, Digimon, Part 1 was selected. He also said to Yamanaka and Aberme, you two also choose one. Yes. Yamanaka whined 2 people should be. For the remaining 2, Yamanaka style chose Shinigami Soul Society, and Aberme chose Dragon Babu. Danzo came to a seat and sat down. Although Yamanaka Kaze also read the manga, they still stood by Danzo's side. At the sight of Danzo, other customers shy away. In Konoha, few people are willing to get involved with him. Anko muttered, wherever this old guy goes, there will be no good things. I am afraid he has no good intentions when he comes to the comic shop. Shen Ye smiled, don't worry, as long as he doesn't want to die, he won't mess around. Then I'll continue watching Dopo, hehe, Wang Xiao Yan is going to start performing again. Anko continued to read the comics, and just saw Xiao Yan going to the capital of the Kama Empire to prepare to participate in the plot of the Yakushi refining competition, which is interesting. Father, where are you going? On the tree-lined road, Hinata and Hanabi looked at Hyuga Hayashi. Hyuga Hayashi said, go see Niji and tell him about the manga shop by the way. Hinata and Hanabi nodded. Shen Ye's comic shop is simply a treasure. There is such a good thing, of course, we can't forget brother Niji. Hyuga Hayashi suddenly stopped, with a bit of helplessness and a bit of sadness in his eyes. Hinata asked, Father, what's the matter? Are you afraid that brother Niji won't want to see you? When she was a child, Cloud Shinobi Village sent a mission to Konoha to form an alliance. However, the Cloud Shinobi mission came to form an alliance on the surface, but in fact it was to take the opportunity to seize the secrets of the Hyuga clan. People from the Cloud Shinobi mission sneaked into the Hyuga clan's mansion and kidnapped her. After being discovered by Hyuga Hayashi, they killed the Cloud Shinobi ninja. As a result, the Cloud Shinobi mission not only did not admit their mistake, but instead framed the Hyuga clan for killing the Cloud Shinobi ninja for no reason. Asking Konoha to hand over the murderer's body to Cloud Shinobi to take away. Otherwise Cloud Shinobi will go to war with Konoha. Hyuga Hayashi was furious at the time. Such a clumsy and even undisguised robbery approach is simply bullying the Hyuga clan. It made him even more angry. Konoha's high-level side, not only did not uphold justice for the Hyuga family, but implied that the Hyuga family handed over the murderer and calmed down. Hyuga Hayashi knew that the matter had come to an end, and the top officials of Konoha would not offend Cloud Shinobi for the life and death of a Hyuga clan, so he chose to commit suicide and handed over his body to the Cloud Shinobi mission. The head of the Hyuga clan at the time stopped him in order to protect the descendant of the clan, Hyuga Hayashi. It was decided that Hyuga Hisashi, the younger brother of the person who was a twin but was destined to be a branch house from birth, replaced his elder brother as the murderer and handed it over to Cloud Shinobi village. Hyuga Hisashi committed suicide because of this. At that time, Konoha's handling of the matter was a dissatisfaction, thinking that this was not only the matter of the Hyuga family, but also the dignity of the entire Konoha, who would rather go to war than back down. But under the pressure of Sarutobi Hiruzen, these voices were gradually muffled. Eventually, the Cloud Shinobi mission left Konoha with Hyuga Hisashi's body. Niji and his mother hated the entire Hyuga clan ever since. Even if Hyuga Hayashi sometimes goes to them, he will be closed. However, Hinata could understand Niji. That is the pain of losing a loved one, how can it be relieved? Hyuga Hayashi let out a long sigh, his eyes were a little red. I just feel ashamed of Hisashi, he died for my big brother, but I didn't take good care of his wife and children. If one day I meet him in Jukwon, can I still be his big brother? Hinata and Hanabi were silent. Hyuga Hayashi and Hyuga Hisashi's relationship is just like them, even deeper. After all, they have been brothers for 30 years since childhood. However, because of the rules of the ancestors of the Hyuga family, they were born into a clan house and a branch house, and this ended in the end. Hinata suddenly asked, Father, will Hanabi and I split into a clan and a branch one day? Hyuga Hayashi was shocked, not knowing how to answer. All are their daughters. They are all flesh and blood that they watched grow up. I want him to be divided into a clan house and a branch house. Hinata asked, what is the significance of such a division between a clan and a branch house? Hyuga Hayashi said sadly, in order for the branch house to be dominated by the clan at any time, so that the Hyuga family can continue to pass on. Hinata said, Father, how many generations will the Hyuga family go through suffering like this? Hyuga Hayashi's eyes widened and his heart was shocked. This pain. How many generations will it take? It's even more uncomfortable to let your relatives die for yourself as accessories. Hinata's eyes showed firmness and said, Hanabi and I will both become strong. We don't need to separate a clan or a branch house, and we can live well. Hanabi also nodded, I don't need my sister to sacrifice herself to complete me, and I won't sacrifice myself because my sister is a clan. We will protect each other because we are relatives who grew up. Hyuga Hayashi remained silent for a long time, then revealed a smile that turned the clouds into the Sunday yes. Chapter 0043 Hyuga Clan Training Ground. A young man in white with long black hair stood in front of wooden golem. The boy in white slowly opened his posture and stretched out his palms. Suddenly, the wind comes, the leaves rise. The meridians on both sides of the white-clothed boy's eyes bulged, and a cold light flashed in his white eyes. 8 trigrams. 32 palms. The boy in white snorted lowly, and quickly struck out his palms. 32 palms in total, each one as fast as a gust of wind, and as violent as thunder. Implicitly changing the position of 8 trigrams, it fell precisely on the acupoints on wooden golem. Bang! Wooden golem exploded into sawdust on the spot. The boy in white put away the posture of gentle fist and said lightly, when will you see it there? In the woods, 3 figures, 1 big, 2 small, came out. It is Hyuga Hayashi and Hinata, Hanabi. Listening to the indifferent tone of the boy in white, Hyuga Hayashi said with a sad expression, Niji. Niji still didn't turn around and said coldly, if you have anything to do, just tell me. If there is nothing to tell, I will go back. There is a comic shop in the village. You can get the rewards in the comics by reading the comics, whether it is a skill or a treasure. Hyuga Hayashi said, if you have time, you might as well take a look. If you are lucky, it will be more useful than working hard on your own. Why, does the owner also believe in such nonsense? Niji remained indifferent. Hyuga Hayashi had complicated eyes and said, Niji, I know I hate you. Of course I hate you. Niji turned his head sharply, bloodshot eyes in his eyes, and the negative emotions that had accumulated in his heart for so many years erupted like a volcano in an instant, and growled, Father, he died just to replace you. Since then, the children in our family have never been able to wait for a father. The wife can no longer wait for the husband. Just because we are a branch house. Therefore, we were born to live for the clan. We don't deserve our own choices, it's all doomed long before we are born. There was a trembling in Niji's voice. The white eyes of Hinata and Hanabi were misty. Hyuga Hayashi was silent for a moment, then said, "If you don't believe me, I can let Hinata compete with you and use the reward she got in that comic shop." Ah! Niji hummed, "Isn't that exploiting Caged Bird's weakness?" Curse mark, Caged Bird is a seal set by the Hyuga clan to limit the ability of the Hyuga branch house. Both the main family and the branch house have a 360-degree angle of view. But curse mark, Caged Bird restricts the eyes of branch house, making it a blind spot. You know, this is a fatal weakness on the battlefield. At the same time, the members of the branch house who were planted curse mark, Caged Bird, life and death are in the mind of the members of the clan. As long as the members of the clan want the members of the branch house to die, it only takes one thought. All of this is for the branch house members to do their best to protect the clan members, even if they sacrifice for it. It sounds brutal, but it's the truth. This is also the iron rule of the ancestors of the Hyuga family that has lasted for thousands of years, and no one can change it. Hinata stepped forward and said, "Brother Niji, I will not use any abilities from the Hyuga clan, only the abilities I got from Shen Ye-kun's comic shop. I only have one move. If Niji brother can take this move, I will lose." "Miss Hinata, are you kidding me?" Hearing this, Niji's expression showed a hint of anger. Since the death of his father, Hyuga Hisashi, he has been cultivating madly, hoping that one day he will be able to gain the power to break through the fate of the branch house. In the same class, he has few opponents. And Hinata is not only 1 year later than him, he has a soft personality since childhood, and his talent is not amazing. Hinata actually said that as long as he can take her move, he will win? This is too contemptible. Hinata changed his usual weak appearance and said with a serious face, "Brother Niji, I am serious." Saying that, Hinata stepped up. She knew that if it weren't for that, Niji probably wouldn't change her mind. Niji said coldly, "Okay, then I'll try Miss Hinata." Fighting intent rose in Niji's white eyes. He is not afraid of anyone among his peers, which is his confidence. Hinata stepped forward, the chakra in his body was mobilized, and the blue fire lotus imprint appeared in his white eyes. A layer of green lotus fire also rose from the slender jade's hand, and it suddenly exerted force, which was extremely fierce, and hit it with one palm. Konglong has regrets. This move of Hinata directly integrates Qinglian Earth Heart Fire and palm technique. Konglong Yu Regret is the first style of the 18 dragon subduing palms. After system transformation, its power is much stronger than the original version. And the different fire is a terrifying thing that has the power to burn mountains and refine the sea. Combining such a tyrannical fire with the 18 palms of subduing dragons, the power is naturally terrifying. I saw a scorching blue fire suddenly erupted from the slender palm. It was as if a cyan star streaked across the long night, shining brightly. At the same time, the temperature between heaven and earth rose sharply, as if to turn this space into a large oven. "What is this?" Niji, who was still confident just now, suddenly changed his face after seeing Hinata's palm, and lost his voice. He never remembered that the Hyuga family had such abilities. By the way, this is what Hyuga Hayashi said, the reward Hinata got from that manga shop, right? Why is the reward so strong? How to increase Hinata's strength so much? How can that be? However, without giving Niji a chance to think about it, Hinata's slap had already hit. The scorching and domineering Qinglian Earth Heart Fire gushed out from the palm of her hand. In an instant, it skyrocketed. Condensed into a head shape of a dragon with a height of nearly 10 meters, which is fierce and fierce. The cyan flame dragon head opened its huge mouth and roared in anger. In an instant, the heat wave was like a wave, sweeping all directions, as if a demon had torn the world and walked out of purgatory. Niji was already a little silly. Such a terrifying attack, can a genin really do it? How could Hinata become so strong? Boom! The blue flame dragon head roared fiercely, burning the vegetation, scorching the earth, and swallowing it with unparalleled power to Niji. Niji wants to use revolving heaven. This is already the strongest ninjutsu of his master, and it is known as the absolute defense of the Hyuga clan. However, he also understands. Revolving heaven could not play any role in front of this cyan flame dragon head. This is no longer an attack that he can resist. The cyan flame faucet, emitting a terrifying heat wave, rushed in front of Niji and stopped abruptly. The flames that turned into countless strands dissipated. Niji lowered his head and said with a very complicated mood, I lost. Chapter 0044. Niji was still in disbelief. He lost, and he lost completely. He found himself doing nothing in the face of such a terrifying attack. The gap is like a gulf. Hinata put away her posture, spread her hands, and a ball of green lotus fire slowly rose in her palm, saying, Brother Niji, this is the reward I got from the Shen Ye comic shop. The flame is the Qinglian Earth Heart Fire in the Dopo comics, and the palm technique is the 18 dragon subduing palms in the Tianlong Babu comics. I just blended the two of them a little, and I had this trick just now. This. Niji's white eyes trembled wildly. That comic shop really has such a powerful thing? And you can get it from the comics? How can that be? He just felt like he was listening to the Arabian Nights, which was too incredible. Hyuga Hayashi said, Niji, now you can always believe it. Niji didn't speak. Looking at Hyuga Hayashi, there is still an indelible hatred in his heart. Hyuga Hayashi sighed helplessly and said, Do you want to know the truth of that year? The truth. Niji raised his head sharply and looked at Hyuga Hayashi. Hyuga Hayashi recalled the past and said, At that time, I decided to die to end this matter, but 1,000 words omitted here, your father said, I hate the Zong family, and I still do. But I am willing to choose this way. I did this not for the clan, but to protect my brother. For me, it was the first opportunity to have a choice, I just made the choice I wanted to do. If Niji asks one day, please tell him. I didn't die to protect the clan, I chose to do this voluntarily to protect my brother, Niji, and even Konoha. Father Niji's pupils trembled, and his inner world was madly impacted. Hyuga Hayashi walked to Niji step by step and said, I didn't understand that he chose to die, what is there to be free, but now I understand. Hyuga Hayashi is only half a meter apart from Niji. Niji was stunned. Hyuga Hayashi suddenly shot and tore off Niji's forehead protector. Niji was startled, what are you doing? I'm sorry, Hisashi. I couldn't change anything at that time. However, today I am the head of the Hyuga family. I want to make this decision in place of the ancestors of all dynasties, as well as the future patriarchs of all dynasties. Hyuga Hayashi made a seal with one hand, then pointed at Niji's forehead, and shouted, I, Hyuga Hayashi, hereby announce. From now on, the Hyuga family will no longer be divided into branch houses. 1 point. The curse mark, caged bird on Niji's forehead gradually faded, until it disappeared completely. What are you doing? Niji exited in horror. Hyuga Hayashi smiled, with Hinata, Hanabi, and Niji, the Hyuga clan no longer needs this crap to survive. He had just made this decision. It was the words of the two daughters that shocked his heart and made this decision. Niji's mind was like a thunderclap. Hyuga Hayashi has abolished the way of life that the Hyuga family has inherited for thousands of years. This is the iron law that the Hyuga family follows that has not changed for thousands of years. It's not that no one hated this rule, but no generation of family owners dared to change it, and Hyuga Hayashi did. Unlocking Niji's curse mark, caged bird, Hyuga Hayashi turns around. The bird in the cage belongs to the sky. Hisashi is watching you from the sky, Niji, let's fly. He knew that by doing so, he went against the will of his ancestors. But he doesn't regret it. He's going to do it right now. He believes that the Hyuga family will be better off without it. Hinata and Hanabi smiled at the same time. The first person in their hearts was Shen Ye. With Shen Ye's comic shop, they have the strength they are now. Otherwise, even if Hyuga Hayashi wanted to challenge the rules left by his ancestors, he would still not dare to do so considering the hidden dangers of the Hyuga family in the future. However, they now have the strength to convince Hyuga Hayashi that such rules are no longer needed. Seeing the back of Hyuga Hayashi receding away, Niji looked up at the sky again, as if seeing his father's smile. For a long time, 2 lines of clear tears fell from the white eyes. Father, I seem to understand why you made such a choice in the first place. Inside the comic shop. This plot is really a vivid story. Anko sighed helplessly after reading the Dopo manga. The plot is cool. It's just that the plot is interrupted at a critical time, which makes her unfulfilled and uncomfortable. At this time, a message appeared on Shen Ye's system interface. Customer Mitarashi Anko has finished reading Do Soul, Part 1 and obtained, Blue snake and three flower eyes. Blue snake three flower eyes, a strange pupil technique known as the nemesis of snakes, which can control all kinds of snake-shaped beasts except for the ancient and supreme snake blood, and can close them in the pupil space middle. As the owner's strength increases, the upper limit of the pupil technique will increase accordingly. The strength of the snakes in the income space will be slowly absorbed by the owner of the pupil technique and become the nourishment of the owner. It turned out to be this pupil technique. Shen Ye's expression moved slightly. Bai snake's three flower eyes are also considered one of the top physiques in Dopo. Except for the ancestors of the two snake-like monsters, the swallowing python and the ancient celestial snake, it is difficult to escape the control of the pupil technique. It can also continuously absorb the controlled target strength and feed it back to itself. Moreover, the pupil technique of Bai snake and three flowers is very suitable for Anko. Anko was once a disciple of Orochimaru, and learned many ninjutsu related to snakes from him. Such a pupil technique can exert maximum value for her. A splendid brilliance descended from the void. Anko was covered in light. The woman grunted. She felt a mysterious force pouring into her eyes. This force is transforming her eyes. It gave her an unspeakable feeling in her body, as if she had a kind of dominance. In the face of hundreds of millions of snakes in the world, they have absolute dominance. 10,000 snakes respect her, and 10,000 pythons only obey her. This feeling made her feel turbulent in her heart, and she felt a sense of pride. For a long time, the brilliance faded. Anko opened his eyes suddenly. The original black pupils turned into blue at this time, and there were 3 marks around them, like a blooming magic flower, with mysterious magic power flowing. Little Shen Ye, this is? Anko asked in surprise. She could feel that the reward she got was absolutely extraordinary. Bai snake 3 flower eyes. Shen Ye smiled and said, you can control the pupil techniques of various snakes. As long as you keep practicing, you can also take snakes into the pupil technique space, and slowly transform their strength into your own. What Anko got was only the 3 flower pupils of the blue snake in the first part. At that time, Kinglin had not yet cultivated it to a high level. But as long as Anko is given time, none of this is a problem. Is it the mysterious pupil technique of Qing scale? Anko understands and is happy at the same time. This pupil technique was very interesting when she read comics. After all, she herself majored in snake ninjutsu. Unexpectedly, now that he has actually obtained this pupil technique, luck is a bit unreal. Chapter 0045. Anko leaned in front of Shen Ye, so close that he could even breathe on Shen Ye's chin, pointed at his eyes, showing a look of come and praise me, does it look good? Ugly to death. Hee hee, I know you like to be ironic. Anko stuck out his tongue and laughed. For such a naughty Anko, Shen Ye had nothing to do. Your comic shop is really amazing. You can get rewards for reading comics. Anko was amazed, and reminded in a low voice, but you also have to be careful of those who have ulterior motives. With that said, Anko glanced at Danzo. She knew very well that the energy of Shen Ye's comic shop would bring about drastic changes to the entire ninja world. Danzo or even Sarutobi Hiruzen, it is impossible not to be mindful. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen is Konoha's Hokage, Anko doesn't take a liking to him and even resents the way he behaves. Shen Ye put his hand on Anko's head, rubbed it lightly, and said with a smile, I know. Being killed by Shen Ye's head touching, Anko's body froze. She soon enjoyed this almost doting look, her eyes smiling like 2 crescents. Shen Ye picked up the black tea jug sent by Hinata and prepared to make tea. Anko helped Shen Ye make tea like a lady for the first time ever. Shen Ye looked at Anko with strange eyes. Anko suddenly pinched his waist, the giant trembled, and said proudly, how is it, can I soak it? I doubt you are Anko. Cut Anko hummed, they also have a very feminine side. Shen Ye's mouth twitched. The point is that you are too small. This is the first time I've ever seen it. At this time, Danzo just finished watching Digimon, Part 1. Customer Shimura Dans has finished reading Digimon, Part 1, and obtained the shell of the Turtle Beast. The shell of Turtle Beast, is a modified Digimon with a mouse-like carapace on its back. Its shell is simple and beautiful, stylish, and quite sturdy. When in danger, it can lock its limbs into its shell. Puff Shen Ye had just drank the black tea brewed by Anko, and looked at Danzo's reward, and almost spit it out. Is it okay to reward a turtle shell? Isn't this the same as putting a BDS cover on your back? This reward. System U-666. A ray of light descended from the void and enveloped Danzo. Danzo was enveloped in brilliance, feeling a mysterious force concentrated behind him. Danzo's expression was solemn, and he said to himself, "This kind of energy is a bit interesting, I don't know what reward it will be." He just watched Digimon, there are all kinds of strange Digimon, and a wide variety of skills, many even he was shocked and moved. You know, his own strength is not weak. Later, in cooperation with Orochimaru, Senju Hashirama's cells were transplanted to obtain wood style. Uchiha Shisui and more than a dozen other Sharingans were transplanted, and Izanagi, a magical skill that could reverse time, was equivalent to having more than a dozen lives. There are very few things that can make his heart move. But after reading this comic, he realized that there were still so many powerful abilities, and he was eager to get one. Yamanaka Kaze and Aberame looked at Danzo with heat in their eyes. They are loyal to Danzo, and naturally expect Danzo to gain powerful abilities and even replace Third Hokage. For a moment, the brilliance gradually faded. Yamanaka Kaze and Aberame Tajin stared at Danzo with nervousness and excitement. "But I didn't see any magical ability, I only saw a big green turtle shell on Danzo." Yamanaka style, well, what is that? Aberame takes root _, from a distance it looks like a tortoise shell, up close it looks like a tortoise shell, if you look closely, it really looks like a tortoise shell. Yamanaka Kaze and Aberame took a deep breath at the same time. It feels like even the blood is getting cold now. This time the fun is big. The surrounding customers saw an extra tortoise shell on Danzo's back, and it became petrified for a while. After all, no one could have imagined that there was such a reward. Moreover, he was chosen by Danzo. Ha 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 ha. Anko couldn't help but let out a loud voice, clutching his stomach and hitting the table. After all, this girl is professionally trained and can't laugh easily, unless she can't help it. Ha ha ha. Well, I couldn't help it at all. Ha ha ha. Who can stand this? Ha 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 ha. Other customers in the comic shop also laughed when they saw this. But they all knew how terrible Danzo was, so they could only cover their mouths. Although he covered his mouth, his face turned purple with laughter. Turtle shell? Is there such a reward? The point is that the tortoise shell and Danzo's dead face are so good, it matches my face. What's going on? Danzo was stunned when he saw that the people around him were about to go crazy because of their laughter. When he lowered his head, his expression suddenly changed. How is this going? Danzo walked in front of Shen Ye, pointed an angry finger behind his back, and roared in a low voice, "What is this?" Shen Ye drank black tea and said calmly, "What is this thing, don't you know it? What I'm asking is, why do I have this kind of thing?" Danzo was so angry that he vomited blood. Shen Ye blinked, "A reward, everyone has it." Danzo, God TM's turtle shell is a reward? Who wants this kind of reward? Are you crazy? If it wasn't for Gio's ability to beat you, would you believe I'd already done it now? Danzo knew that the man in front of him had unfathomable strength, and he didn't dare to turn his face too much. He could only desperately suppress his anger, gritted his teeth and asked, "What the hell is this?" "The turtle shell of the turtle beast." Hearing that it was the tortoise shell of a Digimon, Danzo's expression softened slightly and asked, "Does it work?" "Hard." Danzo almost sprayed 180 pounds of blood on the spot. "I use you to say this? I still don't know that this BDS lid is hard?" Danzo clutched the position of his heart, "Is there any other function? If you think a long shell looks good, it might have a decorative effect." Shen Ye said solemnly. I. Danzo felt that he couldn't breathe, and he was going to be killed on the spot. Ha 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 ha. Next to him, Anko's stomach was already hurting badly, but he couldn't control himself. The other customers of the comic shop also gradually couldn't help but let out a loud voice. Even Yamanaka and Aberame, who are so serious, can't help but feel happy. Hard, maybe there is a decorative effect. The boss's answer is really good enough. Chapter 0046. Danzo was so angry that he went crazy. He kept telling himself to calm down and calm down again. Finally, he controlled his temper that was almost run away. He gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, this time even if I have bad luck." Danzo snorted coldly, grabbing the turtle shell behind him and trying to pull it off. However, several attempts were unsuccessful. Danzo's face was ashen, and he had an extremely bad premonition, and said, "This shell." Shen Ye said, "The long dead ones can't be taken off. I outnumber you in percent." Danzo has completely collapsed, and his mentality has completely collapsed. How can this trademark go out to meet people with a turtle shell? Do you want to be human? This can't be the joke of the whole ninja world, right? I see NM's Digimon. He suddenly remembered that the Uchiha family Sharingan he transplanted had the Izanaga technique, which could even reverse life and death. But thinking about it, that doesn't work either. Izanaga stores his state for a certain period of time, then reverses time and returns to that period of time. The stronger the ability, the longer it can be stored. Even life and death can be rewritten. But the problem is that he came to this comic shop by himself, and did not use Izanaga to record his previous state at all. There is no way to reverse it. In other words, you can only carry such a tortoise shell on your back all your life. I trademark. I just wanted to hear the truth. I didn't find the truth, but I found a tortoise shell for myself. Danzo felt a lack of oxygen in his brain and was a little unsteady. Danzo looked at Shen Ye. Shen Ye still sits as firmly as Mount Tai. Danzo's expression kept changing, and the two voices in his head were fighting frantically. In the end, reason prevailed over impulse. He knew that as long as he did something, the person in front of him would take action. And his keen sixth sense told him that as long as this person made a move, he would have no room for resistance and would surely die. Although this ghost reward is very shameful, it can only be recognized as such. After all, the rules have already been said before, and all rewards are randomly from the comics. Turtleman's shell, isn't that Digimon berries? He has experienced countless storms, but he is not someone who is willing to give up his life for a moment. It took Danzo a long time to calm down, and he said to Yamanaka and Aberame, "You two continue to read the manga, don't worry about me." After hearing this, the two went to read the comics. Danzo sat in his seat and sighed helplessly. It seems that I can only hide this turtle shell with abilities such as transformation technique in the future. But transformation technique is also time limited, and it is impossible to maintain the transformation state all the time. And there are so many people in the comic store, it won't take long for it to spread all over Konoha, and you can't hide it if you want to. Now he can't wait to slap himself a few times, and have no time to watch what Digimon? I am so hard. Long enough, Anko stretches. Proud curves are fully displayed. Anko whispered in Shen Ye's ear, "Little Shen Ye, I'm leaving, don't miss me too much." "Okay. Che, just kidding, you should think about it, not a little less." Anko left with a smile. Shen Ye shook his head. This woman is crazy all day. At this time, Yamanaka Wind finished reading Dragon Babu. A ray of light fell on Yamanaka Kaze. The light faded, leaving behind a string of 9 rags in front of Yamanaka's style. Yamanaka stabbed the cloth bag and said in surprise, "Boss, what are these broken bags?" Shen Ye said, "Congratulations, this is the 9 sacks of the elders of the 9 sacks of the beggar gang. With this, you are the elders of the sects of 9 sacks. Elder 9 bags? What's the use of that?" Yamanaka-style eyebrows huddled together. Shen Ye thought about it for a while, and said, "You can eat the meal you want first." Yamanaka-style, I think what a good thing. For a long time, it is a priority certificate for leftovers. However, after glancing at the turtle shell on Danzo's body, Yamanaka Kazura breathed a sigh of relief. Never mind. What's more, it's better than Wang Bajia. Noticing Yamanaka's eyes, Danzo's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. "What do you mean? Am I here to find comfort for you?" At this time, a figure came to the door of the comic shop. It was Niji. He still carries the Konoha forehead protector, but there is no curse mark, caged bird representing branch house under the forehead protector. Although this was what he longed to have in his dreams countless times, when this day really happened, he felt so unreal, it was still like in a dream. Niji looked at the signboard of the comic shop and said to himself, "This is the new comic shop, right?" He decided to come to the comic shop after thinking about it. Hinata's ability to show, he was very impressed. Are the rewards from the comics really that powerful? How does a comic shop owner do it? He was so curious that he wanted to test it out himself. Niji walked into the comic store, saw Shen Ye sitting at the cashier, and asked, "Boss, I heard that reading the comics here can get you a reward." Shen Ye nodded, "That's right, you can get a random reward from the comic by reading the comic. The first time you read 5,000 taels, you can only read one copy a day, and the price will double every time you read it. So expensive. Niji raised his eyebrows when he heard the price. This is afraid that it will cost hundreds of thousands of millions of taels to watch it a few times. But think about it. After all, the rewards all come from the comics, which is completely different from the ninja world, and expensive is normal. Niji took out 5,000 taels. After Shen Ye received the money, he said, "The comics are all on the bookshelf, go read it yourself." Niji nodded, suddenly noticing Danzo with a turtle shell on his back. Niji, this is, what's the situation? Is there anyone else who likes summoning beasts like turtles, except Mr. Guy, who is unreliable? Niji said, "Boss, his shell is..." "Oh, his reward." Shen Ye smiled and said, "It's in the Digimon comics." Nanny. Niji's face suddenly changed abruptly when he heard this. What kind of store is this? And a reward like a turtle shell? Niji turned his head stiffly. "Boss, can I refund the money?" Shen Ye showed a sunny smile and said, "What are you thinking? Not refunding money is the service tenet of our store." Niji looked at Danzo's turtle shell, his scalp tingling. "If this is also a reward for myself, I really can't guarantee that I will not want to die. This store is horrible." The more Niji thought about it, the more shivering he came to the bookshelf. There are 3 comics on it: Digimon, Part 1, Dragon Babu, and this brave is obviously super strong but overly cautious. Digimon, Part 1 was directly passed by Niji pass. Didn't you see Danzo got a turtle shell just now? Who dares to touch this thing? Dragon Babu was also skipped by Niji. Niji finally chose this brave man is obviously super strong but too cautious. Niji took the manga to his seat, completely filled with the thought of "don't give me a turtle shell." However, when Niji opened the manga, he was quickly attracted by the plot in the manga. The male protagonist is cautious and ruthless, while the female protagonist is amusing and complaining. The two are in stark contrast. Even Niji was amused by the funny conversations between the two, and laughed from time to time. Chapter 0047. This kid is having fun over there, is he making fun of me? How dare you laugh so recklessly? Don't think that if you didn't look at me directly, I didn't know you used the white-eyed ability. From time to time, Danzo turned his murderous look to Niji. Now he is extremely sensitive to laughter. Listening to anyone laughing makes me laugh at myself. Although Niji didn't look at him, his white eyes had a 360-degree view, and he could see him clearly even with the back of his head facing him. The more he thought about it, the more angry. Danzo didn't wait until he left the comic shop, he just pinched it. Bang! A puff of white smoke rose. Danzo has become what he was before. However, he only used the most basic transformation technique, as long as the ninja with a slightly higher level can feel that something is wrong. But this is better than being stared at the turtle shell behind. At this time, Abarame Tori also read the Shinigami manga. On Shen Ye's system panel, the information refreshed. Customer Abarame Tajin has finished reading Shinigami Soul Society and obtained the power of Jillian Minos Grande. The power of Jillian Minos Grande, the evil spirits of the Shinigami world after death of humans will become void. Void will eat human souls in order to fill lost hearts and eliminate the desire for souls. Occasionally extreme emptiness, and even desire for other phantom souls. These similar phantoms get together and start killing each other. If one is particularly strong, it devours hundreds of other virtuals to form a Jillian Minos Grande. The power of Jillian Minos Grande can make the winner have the power of Jillian Minos Grande, but those who are not determined will have a high probability of losing themselves and become a real Jillian Minos Grande. The power of Jillian Minos Grande. Shen Ye's expression moved slightly. This reward looks okay. After all, Jillian Minos Grande in the Shinigami world is very destructive. But there is a prerequisite for this, that is, it can resist the inner erosion of Jillian Minos Grande, otherwise it will only be reduced to a real Minos Grande. Abarame asked nervously, "Boss, my reward?" Rewarding Danzo with the turtle shell casts a huge psychological shadow on him. Shen Ye said, "Your reward is a bit big, you have to go outside." In order to prevent Abarame from taking root and turning into Jillian Minos Grande, it is safer to go out. Hearing this, Abarame took a sigh of relief. It doesn't look like it's going to be anything outlandish. Abarame took the route and came outside the manga store. Shen Ye said, this is a reward to test your mind, if you can stand it, it's a story, if you can't stand it, it's an accident. Are you ready? Aberame nodded, ready. A majestic and magnificent light like a waterfall descended from the sky to take its roots in Aberame. Aberame took root in countless strands of black mist, vaguely grimace or roaring, or grinning. The face of Aberame, who was full of confidence in himself, suddenly changed. He felt that an extremely evil soul force was gnawing at him from all directions. Like countless hands, pulling him into the abyss and devouring his soul. Aberame took a root and covered his head, hissing and howling. It wasn't actually painful, but it was extremely scary. Consciousness is like being torn, smashed, and eaten away by a group of ghosts. Even if he was able to face all kinds of torture without discoloration, he couldn't bear it all at once. Niji, who was reading the manga, shivered when he saw Aberame-Tijan's distressed appearance. What kind of rewards is this comic shop all about? Why does it look so scary? Watching Aberame take the root, Danzo's face changed suddenly. What is the reward for Aberame taking the root? Shen Ye said, the power of Jillian Minos Grande in the Shinigami world. If he can resist, he can get the power of Jillian Minos Grande. If he can't resist, what if you can't handle it? Danzo turned to look at Shen Ye. Shen Ye said lightly, he will become a Jillian Minos Grande who doesn't have much wisdom and only knows how to devour his soul. What? Danzo's face was ugly, and he looked back at Aberame to take his roots. Aberame and Yamanaka Wind are his most trusted right-hand man. The strength is good, the loyalty is loyal, and it is the mainstay of the root. If he lost it, even he would feel some pain. Me. Aberame finally couldn't bear the power of Minos Grande, and let out a desperate howl. A thick white substance gushed from Aberame's rooted eyes and mouth. The white substance wrapped around Aberame's face, and solidified into a white mask that seemed to represent nothingness. At the same time, Aberame's body swelled dramatically. The black mist became more and more, turning into a black cloak and covering him. Finally, Aberame took the root and turned into a Jillian Minos Grande, who was dozens of meters tall, covered in black and wearing a white mask. Danzo's expression turned ashen. Failed? Is this what the Shinigami world calls Jillian Minos Grande? Shen Ye looked at the huge Jillian and said to himself, it's a little different from the Shinigami world. In the Shinigami world, ordinary humans cannot see the void. But this Jillian Minos Grande appeared in people's line of sight like this. I am afraid it has something to do with the system. Danzo turned his head and gritted his teeth. Can the root be recovered? Won't. Shen Ye shook his head. The customers in the comic shop were shaking all over. Although comic shops are full of opportunities, there are also many dangers. Like the turtle shell on Danzo, and the one in front of him that lost his life directly. MD, this comic shop is too unfriendly to African Emirates. Then, what is that? Okay, so big. Black clothes, white masks, isn't it Shinigami? Run. This guy is looking at us. The appearance of Jillian Minos Grande, which Aberame took root and turned into, caused half a Konoha to fall into a riot. With a height of tens of meters, he stands out among the buildings of Konoha. 3 or 4 floors are only up to the height of its knees. The terrifying appearance covered in black cloth, coupled with the evil white mask, makes anyone shudder when they see it. Boom, Jillian Minos Grande stepped out, his big feet fell, and he directly smashed the house opposite the comic store. In the manga shop, with the exception of Yamanaka Wind protecting Danzo, the rest of the Konoha shinobi rushed out, trying to stop Jillian Minos Grande. There are many Konoha shinobi people around. However, facing Jillian Minos Grande up close, the visual shock is indescribable. What kind of monster is this? Don't worry about that, just kill it. If you let it run rampant, I don't know how many people will die. Let's do it together. More than a dozen Konoha shinobi fighters wore the seal of the Great Fireball at the same time, then puffed out their cheeks and sprayed them violently. Fire style. Courageous fire. More than a dozen great fireballs, connected into a wave of fire, with a heat wave, smashed on Jillian Minos Grande's body. However, more than a dozen great fireballs landed on Jillian Minos Grande, and it didn't hurt at all. Seeing that the attack didn't work, a group of ninjas changed color. What the hell is this monster? Is this defense too strong? Well, Jillian Minos Grande made a dull sound. With a big white kick, houses shattered. Countless rebels shot through the Konoha shinobi like arrows through the air. What? What? Immediately, a scream rang out. Niji used revolving heaven to block the rocks flying towards him. However, the other ninjas around suffered heavy losses. Seeing the chinins and genins as weak as ants in front of Jillian Minos Grande, Niji couldn't help but look back at Shen Ye, who was still indifferent even though the whole Konoha was terrified. Who is this boss? Why is there such a horrible thing in his comics? Chapter 0048. Damn it! A Konoha chinin clutched his bleeding arm and gritted his teeth. Our attack has no effect on this monster. At least more than one Jainin level is needed to deal with this kind of thing, right? Another chinin said with lingering fears. Anyway, stop it. Don't let it go to crowded places. Make a swamp with water style and earth style, trap it first. It's coming this way, support. The Konoha shinobi attacked Jillian Minos Grande, but before Jainin made his move, the scene was not optimistic. And the villagers ran into a pot of porridge. In the face of this level of monsters, ordinary people can't be indifferent at all. What's going on outside? So loud. In the room full of various nutritional supplements, Ebisu had just finished watching Yoshizawa-sensei's movie, and turned on the sage mode and lay on the bed. Hearing the commotion outside, Ebisu sat up forcefully. Seeing Jillian Minos Grande walking down the street through the window, he turned pale with fright. However, when he tried to get up, he found that his legs were a little weak. Ebisu was saddened. I just got a lot of L, damn it, it's hard to get down now. Yakushi Kabuto looked at Jillian Minos Grande in the distance, pushed his glasses, a reward from the comic shop, hehe, I don't know if the old guys at the top of Konoha can still sit still. In Konoha's office, Sarutobi Hiruzen saw this scene from the crystal ball through the telescope technique, and said solemnly, Anbu, take a first-level combat state. No matter what, you must stop this monster. Yes. Although no one was seen, several voices sounded. Multiple Anbus appeared on the scene, surrounding Jillian Minos Grande. An Anbu made a seal and said coldly, lightning style. 16-pillar bondage technique, boom 16 huge stone pillars rose from the ground, surrounding Jillian Minos Grande. Suddenly, the electric light on the stone pillar shone and crackled, turning into an array of thunder and lightning with interlaced and dazzling electric light. However, Jillian Minos Grande's two big hands gently slammed the stone pillar torn apart. Thunderbolt burst. At the same time, the mouth of the white mask slowly opened. The black-red energy rushed towards Jillian Minos Grande's mouth frantically, condensing into a zero with extreme violence. Sarutobi Hiruzen saw this scene through the crystal ball, his face changed, and he said in shock, this is a tailed beast bomb. No wonder he thought so. The appearance in front of him is very similar to the tailed beast bomb that tailed beast casts. Soon, Zero's energy was accumulating to its peak. Squirting from Jillian Minos Grande's mouth. A black and red light beam was emitted, destroying all the buildings in front of him. Several Anbu dodged in embarrassment. Then, Zero fell in the distance. Boom, Zero burst open, as if a round of black and red stars fell here. The terrifying power blew up the place with a radius of tens of meters into rubble. The Inuzuka clan is within Zero's attack range. Although at the critical moment, Akamaru resisted part of Zero's aftermath with the demon fox flame, the house of the Inuzuka family was still more than half destroyed. Mom! Old lady! Inuzuka ran to the ruins of the house, looking for Inuzuka claw and Inuzuka flower. I'm fine. Inuzuka Hwa stood up from the ruins, lifted Inuzuka's paws, and said, Mom was injured a little. Inuzuka Tooth breathed a sigh of relief, you'll be fine. He turned his attention to the direction of the comic shop and said, that monster seems to have appeared from the direction of the comic shop. I'm afraid this is a reward that someone has obtained. At this time, Hyuga Hayashi, Hinata, and Hanabi happened to be passing by and saw the Inuzuka clan being attacked, so they came to visit. Are you all right? Hyuga Hayashi looked at Inuzuka-pa. Inuzuka Tooth hummed, do you think the old lady is so fragile? Mom's life is not in danger. Inuzuka Hana said, Uncle Hayashi, your Hyuga clan's healing medicine is the best, can you give one to Mom? No problem at all. Hyuga Hayashi took out a white pill from the kimono and said, this medicine can greatly improve the ability of wound healing in a short period of time. It is very effective for trauma, so you can take it directly. Thanks. Inuzuka Hana was grateful, and hurriedly put the white pill to Inuzuka-pa's mouth. Inuzuka's claw caught chi bite. Bang! All of a sudden, the white pill swelled up instantly, turning into a red-fruited female Shinigami righteous skeleton. Inyazuka's paw was biting on a very unsightly part. Inyazuka claw, Hayashi, what did you trademark give my mother to eat? Hyuga Hayashi, my day. I forgot, I put that female Shinigami inflatable body in Kabuto with the pills. What to do, so embarrassing. Inyazuka flower, Inyazuka tooth, Hinata, and Hanabi were all petrified together. It seems like something terrible has happened. Inyazuka Hana turned her head stiffly, looked at Hyuga Hayashi, and said, Uncle Hayashi, is this medicine like this? Hyuga Hayashi can't wait to find a crack to dig in, and his face is red, this is actually. Take this thing away first. Inyazuka Tooth hurriedly removed the inflatable skeleton from Inyazuka paws. At this moment, a pretty girl in a purple ninja came over and asked with concern, Are you all right? Ino. Inyazuka was holding the inflatable skeleton and saw Yamanaka Ino for a moment. Tooth you. Ino looked at Inyazuka, and at the inflatable skeleton he was holding, a kind of respect came to his heart. The house was blown up, and I didn't forget to hold the inflatable doll. Yay, you really love this doll. Seeing Ino's gaze, Inyazuka hurriedly threw the inflatable skeleton away and explained, It's not what you think. Ino found a tooth mark somewhere on the inflatable body, turned his head and said, Don't worry, I didn't see anything. Inyazuka has to explain. Bang. Inyazuka Claw suddenly kicked Inyazuka's p-share, and said angrily, What time is it, you still care about your doll? Nothing serious. Inyazuka Tooth, WTF? What does this have to do with me? Seeing Inyazuka still wanted to explain, Inyazuka Claw added another foot, You're still stubborn. You child, are you stubborn? If this matter is spread out, it will be spread based on falsehood, and it will not be determined what it will be in the end. Will the old lady still hang out in Konoha in the future? Tooth, sorry. Madam, this pot, you should carry it on your back first. Hyuga Hayashi saw that Inyazuka Claw wanted to make his son a scapegoat, and this time it was his own fault. He coughed and said, Claw, it is inevitable for a boy to be at this age, so just say a few words. Okay. Inyazuka Hwa also nodded and said, Yes, my brother has grown up, and it is normal to have some hobbies of his own. Inyazuka Tooth, I trademark. You actually gave me the pot collectively. Does your conscience not hurt? I'm still just a child. At this time, another round of black and red Zero was fired towards here. Ino turned pale and shouted, Leave now. However, the voice did not fall, a pretty figure jumped up proudly and faced Zero. Chapter 0049. Is that Hinata? Ino looked at the figure that was rushing towards Zero, Hwarong paled. How powerful is that monster's destructive power? Even Jainin is no match. Hinata even rushed up? Is she crazy? Hinata's pretty face is full of seriousness, and a pair of soft jade hands crosses the void, with a graceful figure. At the same time, a blazing and scorching Qinglian earth heart fire ignited in his hands. Suddenly, a cold light flashed in Hinata's white eyes, and he shot it with a palm. The dragon swings its tail. The cyan flame on the jade's hand skyrocketed, and it was splendid and bright, like a cyan sun. Immediately afterwards, a cyan fire dragon condensed by the fire of the Qinglian earth swung its tail away and attacked Zero. Boom! Two forces, one blue and one red, slammed together fiercely in the air. The sky was dyed half blue and half red. The light shines, and everything is pale. The loud noise shook the air and spread all over the place. Immediately, a destructive energy frenzy overturned the surrounding buildings. Hinata, why did you suddenly become so strong? Is this really still Hinata? Seeing Hinata's palm against Jillian Minos Grand Zero, Ino was shocked and felt that his worldview was turned upside down. They are all classmates, so she knows Hinata very well. If Hinata really had this kind of terrifying power, she couldn't have been unaware. Inyazuka said to himself, I'm afraid Hinata also came from Mr. Shen Ye's comic shop. Mr. Shen Ye? Ino said curiously, Baby Tooth, what the hell is going on? Inyazuka explained, the village just opened a comic shop yesterday. As long as you read the comics in the comic shop, you can get a random reward from the comics. It may be a skill, it may be an item, or it may be a creature. Suddenly discovering something was wrong, Inyazuka said angrily, who do you call baby tooth? It does not matter. Why doesn't it matter? Inyazuka slapped the Hungarian foot. Can I take this pot off? Ino was startled by Inyazuka's words. Is there such a miraculous thing? Can you get things from comics by reading comics? Are you sure this isn't some kind of magic or a scam? How can something so outrageous? Inyazuka snorted, pointed at Akamaru who evolved into Garuruman beside him, and said, What are you doing to lie to you? I think the Digimon got the Garuruman evolution card and used it for Akamaru. This is Akamaru. Ino looked at Akamaru, the huge Garuruman in front of him, dumbfounded. Although she had seen it before, she didn't think about it at all. This ferocious beast is actually Akamaru? She suddenly felt that her brain was not enough. At this time, the energy shocks of the Cyan Fire Dragon and Zero dissipated. A group of Anbu and Konoha shinobi fans were shocked by the power of Hinata's palm. That's the princess of the Hyuga clan, Hyuga Hinata, right? What kind of ninjutsu is this? It's scary. Is it the hidden secret art of the Hyuga clan? The most important thing is that the fire gives a feeling of extreme danger. Everyone couldn't believe what they had seen with their own eyes. Hyuga Hinata is only 14 years old, right? Did he already possess such terrifying strength at the age of 14? Such strength at such an age. I am afraid that only the geniuses in the legend of Konoha can compare with it. At this time, another petite figure flew by. It's Hyuga Hanabi. There is a pair of wings behind Hyuga Hanabi. There's actually such a flying ability. The ninjas almost dropped their jaws. The Hinata just now was enough to shock them, and now even Hanabi is like that. You know, there are very few ninjas who have the ability to fly. Some also mostly rely on summoning beasts or external objects. It is very rare that a person like Hanabi can fly by itself. The ability to fly has great advantages for ninjas in combat, reconnaissance, escape, etc., and many people dream of it. Also, Hanabi is only 7 years old. Hanabi flew like an angel in the air, and then he waved the wings of chakra behind him. It turned into an afterimage and rushed in front of Julian Minos Grande. Little Loli clenched his fists, his eyes were full of fighting intent, and he shouted softly, Armament Haki. Hardening. Xiangziu's little fist was covered with a layer of dark color, and she immediately punched Julian Minos Grande's mask. Boom. Haki's covered fist slammed into the mask. The seemingly slender fist erupted with shocking power at this moment. The sound of caca came from the white mask, cracking one after another. Immediately afterwards, the strength was surging, and Julian Minos Grande, who was dozens of meters high, was pushed back again and again by this punch. Roar! Julian Minos Grande was utterly enraged and roared to the sky. The horror riotsu swept out like Wang Yang, and countless glass bangs were shattered at the same time. Julian Minos Grande attacked Hinata and Hanabi. The big white hand was torn off, and the space was torn apart like a piece of paper with a scuff. It seems to be a hell demon god that tears the sky and the ground, and has the potential to sweep everything. Such a sight makes many people feel their scalp numb. What the hell is this monster? Does it still have space capability? Hinata's flower face showed no signs of fear, and the heart of the green lotus on the palm of his hand was full of fire, and he kept hitting the 18 palms of subduing dragons in one style. Cyan fire dragons that were more than 10 meters long danced and rolled in the void, rushing towards Julian Minos Grande. Hanabi's fists covered Armament Haki, and he also launched a furious attack. Boom! Boom! Julian Minos Grande was attacked by the sisters' combined attack, and she was unable to fight back. Standing by the door of the comic shop, Shen Ye smiled as she watched Sister Hinata play against Julian Minos Grande. This ad is well done. Now I'm afraid the whole Konoha will know about the comic shop. Business is coming soon. This battle is the best publicity for comic shops. There was an advertisement in a previous life that said it well, that you don't watch the advertisement to see the curative effect. Now everyone has seen the terrifying power of the Hinata sisters. And when they know that the secret of their becoming stronger is actually this comic shop, they will naturally want to come to the comic shop to try their luck. This ad was very successful. It's just that Danzo's face is ugly and scary. One of his powerful subordinates died inexplicably like this, not to mention a lot of fire. That monster was actually suppressed by the two of them. The villagers of Konoha looked up to the sky and witnessed an unforgettable scene. Hanabi is completely out of proportion to Julian Minos Grande's size. However, no one could ignore her at this moment. Just now, so many ninjas couldn't help this monster, but being kicked back by Hanabi was enough to explain everything. Seeing this, Kakashi, who was rushing towards Jillian Minos Grande with all his strength, couldn't help but slow down. It seems that I don't need me anymore. At this time, a voice came from behind Kakashi. Kakashi. Kakashi turned his head and looked at the person coming, so it's Big Brother Hai. Yamanaka Kiki stood beside Kakashi and looked at Jillian Minos Grande in the distance with a serious expression. Kakashi, is this thing just? Chapter 0050. Knowing what Yamanaka Kiki meant, Kakashi nodded and said, it probably came from that manga shop. I just read this manga today called Shinigami. In the Shinigami world, there are many such monsters called phantoms, and when hundreds of virtuals devour each other, the higher level Minos Grande will be born. This is the lowest level Jillian in it. Yamanaka Hei's pupils shrank slightly. This is actually only the lowest level. Even the lowest level Minos Grande are so terrible, what are the higher ones like? He had only heard a few things about that comic shop before. He wasn't serious at the time. Now it seems that the seriousness of the matter is far beyond his imagination. That's right. Kakashi said, there are 2 levels of Ajichas and Vasto Lord above Jillian. If Minos Grande of that level appeared, I am afraid it would not be as simple as before. It's unimaginable. Yamanaka Ishin was shocked, looked at Hinata and Hanabi in the fight against Jillian Minos Grande, and said, the danger is there, but the opportunity is even more moving. The comic shop has only opened for 2 days, but it has already given the 2 little girls such amazing strength. This speed of improvement has never been seen before. Presumably once this matter spreads, it will soon make the entire ninja world go crazy. Kakashi said, yeah, that's the magic of that manga shop. Yamanaka Kai looked at Kakashi and smiled, looks like you really like that manga shop. To be honest, that comic shop is really hard to resist. Kakashi said, I went to that manga shop twice, and luckily, I got 2 very good rewards, which improved a lot. Is that so? Hearing this, even Yamanaka Kiki became eager to move. Kakashi's words touched his sore spot. His strength has not improved in any way for many years. Ninja practice has a clear breakout period. The genius ninjas were especially evident in this regard, and during that time, they could feel themselves getting stronger almost every day. However, as we age, this rise will diminish. In the end, after reaching the peak period, the strength will no longer be able to advance an inch. Once the peak period is over, the body is not forgiving, and the strength will begin to gradually regress. This is the rule of the game of the years, and no one can escape this. Yamanaka Kiki has even forgotten that the last time he was ecstatic about his breakthrough was many years ago. Boom! Boom! Jillian Minos Grande slumped under attack from Hinata and Hanabi. On the body, either was burned to create a hole, or was beaten into a twisted shape. The crowd at Konoha village applauded and cheered for the sisters. Finally, Hinata and Hanabi deliver the final blow. Time to ride the 6 dragons. Armed color 8 trigrams 32 palms. Hinata has 1 palm up and 1 palm down, the upper one goes down and the lower one goes up, exchanging changes. It seems like a dragon is intertwined. Suddenly, the palm force hits, and the 6 paths blue flames pierce through the air like 6 dragons. Hanabi uses Armament Haki's ranged abilities. The palm method is continuous, implying the method of 8 trigrams. The invisible palm slammed violently, compressing the air and twisting it into the shape of a palm print. Jillian Minos Grande was bombarded by 2 forces, and finally could not bear it. The bang suddenly exploded. Turned into a colorful rain of light scattered down. Fight, beat. 1. The 2 princesses of the Hyuga family are amazing. The people of Konoha village cheered and cheered. Those Anbu and ninja of Konoha also showed their admiration. Hinata and Hanabi are much younger than them though. However, their strength is enough for them to face it. Hinata and Hanabi. Ino stared blankly, unable to describe his feelings in words. Hinata, who was once the same age as himself, has become so strong that he can only look up. Even Hanabi has become so powerful. Although she is not jealous, there is inevitably a gap in her heart. Ino's emerald-like eyes flashed, I'm going to see that comic shop too. She became more and more curious about the comic shop in her heart. It can turn such a small Akamaru into a ferocious giant wolf, can make this terrifying black monster reward Konoha, can increase the strength of Hinata and Hanabi so much. It is simply a treasure full of infinite possibilities. Ino inquired about the location of the comic store and rushed over. Hyuga Hayashi shows off her dignified fatherly smile as her two daughters beat Jillian Minos Grande. After this battle, the two daughters became famous. The most important thing is to make the Hyuga family famous. The Hyuga family has not seen a true genius for many years. When it comes to the genius of Konoha, people first think of the titles of Sunin, Konoha's White Fang, Yellow Flash, and Shisui. The Hyuga family has the name of the number one family of Konoha, but there is no one in the family who can compare with these geniuses. Many people secretly say that the Hyuga family has a false name and is not worthy of virtue. This is the pain of the entire Hyuga family. Now, with Hinata and Hanabi rising strongly, all these will be shattered. Hyuga Hayashi smiled. With two daughters, the Hyuga family is set to reach new heights in the future. No one in the entire ninja world can underestimate the Hyuga family. He abolished the iron rule of the clan branch house, which is also worthy of the ancestors of the Hyuga family. Of course, it was Shen Ye and his comic shop that made it all. Thinking of this, Hyuga Hayashi shouted in his heart. Boss Saijo! Comic shop competition! However, Hyuga Hayashi couldn't help but feel sour when he thought about the kind of messy reward he was getting every time. Why are the rewards of the two daughters so strong, but their own is so bad? I suspect that this comic shop may simply be malicious to me. Suddenly, Hyuga Hayashi felt a murderous aura coming from behind, and was so frightened that he turned his head hastily. Inyazukazuo looked at Hyuga Hayashi with a grudge on his face, grinding his teeth creaking, and hummed, "You haven't yet paid for the food you gave my mother." Claw, listen to me, I really don't know. Hyuga Hayashi also said aggrievedly, that's the reward I got from watching Shinigami's comics. I felt it was a pity to throw it away, so I put it away, and it ended up being mixed with the medicine. Humph. Inyazukazuo gave Hyuga Hayashi an angry look. At this time, Inyazuka came over and said tentatively, Mom, I just took the blame for you, should you give me some reward? What reward? Inyazuka raised his eyebrows. Cough, I want to go to the comic store tomorrow, but the third time I go, it will cost 20,000 taels. Inyazuka Tooth rubbed his hands together, smiled and said, Mom, can you help me solve it? The old lady doesn't have that much cash on hand, and our family is like this. We need a lot of money to repair the house. Inyazuka waved his hand and said, wait until your dad comes back. Mom. What, do you have an opinion? Inyazukazuo snorted, don't think that your kid has a Garura beast that is very powerful, if you think it can beat the zombie Tyrannosaurus, say it. Inyazuka Tooth, how can there be such a thing? Give me a stick, what about sweet dates? Let you eat? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.